Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua asked some more questions about the Zhao family and Zhao Mang before handing the interspatial ring to the black-clothed attendant and sending him away. Qinhua, according to what the attendant said, "This little guy named Zhao Mang is indeed quite pitiful, and it's very similar to what happened to you. It's just that you met your master by chance. But this Zhao Mang, Qinhua, don't you want to learn from your master and save this little guy from suffering?" Jian Wushuang said casually. He knew very well that given Qinhua's character, he was already moved by the fact that he was willing to sit here and listen to Zhao Mang. Jian Wushuang guessed that Demon Master Qinhua must have the same thoughts as his master, but he had yet to take action. "There's no rush. Let's wait and see." Demon Master Qinhua picked up the wine bowl in his hand and drank a cup, then began to ponder. Jian Wushuang just smiled and did not say anything. In the next few days, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua did not go anywhere. They just stayed in the tavern. Although they stayed in the tavern, their soul perception had long spread out and could completely cover the entire city. Naturally, Zhao Mang's every move could not escape their eyes. They watched Zhao Mang run out of the city every day and cultivate alone. His cultivation method was very crude. Obviously, he did not have any expert's guidance. It was purely a blind trial and error. For example, he had developed the cultivation method that could improve his body by carrying boulders and running between mountains. This cultivation method was very painful, but Zhao Mang gritted his teeth and persevered without the slightest hesitation. This little guy, at least in terms of perseverance, is very impressive. After a few days of observation, Jian Wushuang was also secretly amazed. As for the Demon Master Qinhua, he did not make a statement. Until the 10th day that Jian Wushuang and the Demon Master Qinhua were in the Wuxian city. On this day, the Wuxian city became lively. The reason for this was that a big figure had come to the Wuxian city. This big shot was a core disciple of the illusory moon sky sect, and he had already reached the peak saint realm, Qingyan. Saint Qingyan was a very famous peak saint in the entire northwest 19 regions. It was said that he was very close to becoming an invincible saint, and he was a core disciple of the illusory moon sky sect. His master was an elder of the illusory moon sky sect who had reached the void fourth stage. Whether it was his own strength or his background, it was enough to scare people to death in Wuxian city. For example, the 5 great families in Wuxian city usually only came into contact with peak saints. However, there were not many of them whose strength could be compared to the Green Hate Saint, not to mention the Green Hate Saint's background. One had to know, the Bone Flood Dragon realm was within the control of the illusionary moon sky sect. The illusionary moon sky sect was like the sky in the Bone Flood Dragon realm. With a slight stomp of their feet, they could trample a large number of small families like the Zhao family to death. Because of this, when Saint Qingyan came to Wuxian city, the 5 family heads of Wuxian city immediately welcomed him in person. But in the end, for some unknown reason, Saint Qingyan was welcomed into the Zhao family. In the tavern, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Sinking Fire were still drinking. As for the arrival of the so-called Saint Qingyan, it did not attract their attention at all. Even his master, who had reached the 4th realm of the Void Realm, would not be taken seriously by Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua, let alone a mere Saint Qingyan. However, while Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua were talking, Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. "Qinhua, the little guy you like seems to be in trouble, and I'm afraid it's not a small trouble." Jian Wushuang looked at Demon Master Qinhua with interest. Sure enough, Demon Master Qinhua frowned slightly at this moment. Their soul power had been covering the entire Zhao family. They had seen everything that happened in the Zhao family, including their every move. At this moment, they saw a special thing happening in the meeting hall of the Zhao family. "Ha! Grandmaster Zhao, are you really willing to give your daughter to my maidservant?" Saint Qingyan, who had an evil expression on his face, let out an evil smile at this moment. "Of course. It's rare for Saint Qingyan to think highly of my daughter. It's my fortune in my previous life to be able to be your maidservant." The Grandmaster of the Zhao clan also smiled and appeared to be extremely enthusiastic. Meanwhile, the elders of the Zhao clan, all of them agreed one after another, completely ignoring the terrified expression of the peerless beauty below. This peerless beauty was the daughter of the head of the Zhao family, also known as Zhao Mang's younger sister. Her name was Zhao Ling. In the Zhao family, only this Zhao Ling had always used her status to protect Zhao Mang. However, she did not expect that her father, the head of the Zhao family, would actually promise her on the spot to be the Saint Qingyan's maidservant. Furthermore, the other party was the notorious saint's servant in the entire Bone Flood Dragon realm. Zhao Ling felt as if she had fallen into hell in an instant. He looked at the head of the Zhao family with longing and those elders of the Zhao family. In the end, no one was willing to pay attention to her. Her heart was close to despair. However, at this moment, "Hold on!" a low cry suddenly sounded within the large hall. The expressions of the members of the Zhao clan, who were originally welcoming Saint Qingyan, changed. Immediately, many pairs of eyes looked towards the entrance of the large hall. A young man had already crossed the door and was walking over. This person was surprisingly Zhao Mang. "Zhao Mang, what are you doing here? This place is also something that you can come to. Hurry up and scram." Upon seeing Zhao Mang, the Zhao clan's grandmaster expression sunk as he immediately reprimanded. "Humph, if I did not come, fourth younger sister's life would have been completely ruined by you as a bargaining chip." Zhao Mang's eyes were cold. Although his body was not considered too tall, and he did not possess the slightest divine power aura, but at this moment, the coldness in his eyes was enough to cause the backs of everyone present to light up. "Zhao Yong." Zhao Mang raised his head and looked directly at the head of the Zhao family, who was also his father. "No matter how you want to curry favor with Saint Qingyan, it has nothing to do with me. You can do whatever you want, but you cannot sacrifice fourth younger sister. And you cannot hand fourth younger sister over to this bastard. Beast." Zhao Mang's words caused the expressions of all the members of the Zhao clan in the hall to change drastically. Even the figure of the Zhao clan head trembled violently. His heart was greatly shocked. As for Saint Qingyan, his expression had already turned dark and cold. "Zhao Mang, what nonsense are you talking about? Hurry up and scram." The head of the Zhao family was extremely shocked and furious. He had finally found an opportunity to curry favor with this green hate saint and use it to benefit the Zhao family. Yet, at this moment, Zhao Mang actually came out to cause trouble and even directly cursed the Saint Qingyan and beast in front of everyone. How could the patriarch of the Zhao family not be angry? However, Zhao Mang coldly snorted. He said, "Isn't it so? In the entire Bone Flood Dragon realm, who doesn't know that this Saint Qingyan is a beast with a human face? Just in the past 100 years, who knows how many women have died in his hands and were tortured to death by him? If fourth younger sister falls into his hands, I'm afraid her fate will not be any better." Zhao Mang's words caused Zhao Ling, who was in the middle of the hall, to tremble. It was because she had heard of Saint Qingyan's infamous name that she was so frightened when the head of the Zhao family wanted to gift her to Saint Qingyan as a maidservant. If it was anyone else, even if she was unwilling, she would not be so frightened. "Head of the Zhao family, it seems that your Zhao family doesn't really want to hand Zhao Ling over to me?" Saint Qingyan had a bewitching smile on her face as she looked at Zhao Yong, the head of the Zhao family. Being looked at by Saint Qingyan, Zhao Yong's heart trembled. However, he forced a smile and said, "Saint Qingyan, you've misunderstood. The entire Zhao family respects you greatly and is willing to gift Zhao Ling to you as a maidservant. As for this Zhao Mang that you see now, although he still has my bloodline, I've already severed my relationship with him. Furthermore, my Zhao family has already decided to completely expel him from the family. Therefore, his words cannot represent my Zhao family at all." "Is that so?" Saint Qingyan raised his eyebrows. Yes, yes. A handsome man beside him echoed, "Lord Qingyan, it's not just father. As his older brother, I haven't acknowledged him as my younger brother for a long time. Our Zhao family doesn't have a trash like him." This person was one of Zhao Mang's 2 older brothers, the eldest son of the Zhao family. Right, he's not a member of our Zhao family. Humph, although our Zhao family isn't considered a big family, we still have some prestige in Wuxian City. How could we allow a useless existence like him, who can't even gather divine power, to exist? We should have chased him out of the family a long time ago. It's fine if he's a useless person, but he actually dares to speak shamelessly and insult the green hate saint. He really deserves to die. Grandmaster, I suggest that we directly execute Zhao Mang. Voices continuously sounded in the hall. No one was on Zhao Mang's side at all. They all said that they wanted to expel Zhao Mang from the family. There were even a few who suggested that Zhao Mang be directly executed. Directly execute him? Zhao Yong frowned slightly. Why? Is Grandmaster Zhao unwilling to part with him? Saint Qingyan looked over at this moment. Zhao Yong immediately reacted. At the same time, he also saw Saint Qingyan's intention. Immediately, he coldly said, "That's right. This Zhao Mang has always been disrespectful toward his elders. Today, he even insulted Saint Qingyan in front of everyone. This is simply disrespectful. What is the point of keeping such a person in this world? He should be directly executed so that the hatred in Saint Qingyan's heart can be appeased." Zhao Mang's body trembled when he heard these words. However, he still clenched his teeth tightly and stared at Zhao Yong with his scarlet eyes. Zhao Ling also looked at Zhao Yong with a face full of disbelief. As the saying goes, a vicious tiger would not eat its own son. However, for the sake of the clan's interests, Zhao Yong had first planned to sacrifice his daughter, Zhao Ling, to curry favor with Saint Qingyan. Now, in order to dispel Saint Qingyan's anger, he had actually made the decision to kill Zhao Mang. Grandmaster Zhao, since you want to execute him, I wonder who should do it? Saint Qingyan casually asked. Although this Zhao Mang has offended you, Saint Qingyan, if you were to do it yourself, it would be a loss of status. Therefore, I won't trouble you with this matter. Let me, the value of the Zhao clan, do it myself. Zhao Yong's expression was cold. His gaze toward Zhao Mang no longer had a trace of kinship. Zhao Yong, you're really ruthless. Zhao Mang gritted his teeth. However, he then burst into laughter. Haha! Kill me if you want to. After all, I'm not of much use in this world. Being able to die by your hands can be considered as repaying the favor of your bloodline. Zhao Yong, remember this. From now on, I, Zhao Mang, will no longer owe you anything. And all of you. Zhao Mang's eyes were bloodshot. He looked as if he was madly looking at the powerful warriors of the Zhao family around him. These powerful warriors looked at him with extremely cold gazes. Haha, a group of heartless people. No wonder the Zhao family could only stay in this small Wuxian city for so long. With you people around, I'm afraid that it won't be long before the Zhao family will completely cease to exist. Just wait. All of you just wait. This day will come sooner or later. The Zhao family is destined to be destroyed. They are destined to walk on the path of strangers. Zhao Mang, you still dare to boast shamelessly when death is at hand. Zhao Yong shouted angrily. You shut up. Zhao Mang coldly glanced at Zhao Yong. The coldness in his eyes caused even Zhao Yong, a rank 7 true saint, to tremble. Zhao Yong, I only hate myself for being born into such a filthy family like the Zhao family. I hate myself for being too weak and unable to bring my fourth sister away safely. But let me tell you, even if I die and become a malicious ghost after I die, I will forever haunt the Zhao family and make them restless until the day I see you die and the day the Zhao family is completely destroyed. Impudent! Zhao Yong's gaze turned cold, and he did not allow Zhao Mang to continue speaking. His figure flashed, and he transformed into a sharp ray of light that charged toward Zhao Mang. Everyone in the hall saw this ray of light that was filled with killing intent, and no one stepped forward to stop it. As for Zhao Mang, he was still laughing maniacally, and it looked as if he was about to be shattered by that ray of light. However, suddenly, buzz! A wave of power erupted in the middle of the hall without any warning. The figure that Zhao Yong was charging towards was immediately struck by this wave of power. In an instant, he was blasted away like a cannonball and smashed heavily into the wall of the hall. The wall instantly exploded, however. The entire room did not collapse. This sudden scene caused everyone in the hall, including Saint Qingyan, to jump in shock. Soon after, they immediately noticed the two figures that appeared out of thin air in the middle of the hall. One of these two figures was a young man in a golden robe, while the other was a sloppy old man in gray robes who stood beside the golden-robed man like a guard. After the two of them appeared in the middle of the hall, the casual sounds of conversation also slowly echoed in the hall. You have good willpower, hard work, and a strong sense of loyalty. Unfortunately, you acted too rashly and recklessly, Demon Master Xianxia said calmly. After all, you are just a little boy who is not even 16 years old. Although you have grown up in such an environment and your temperament has improved, you have not really experienced much training. It is normal for you to act rashly and recklessly. Jian Wushuang smiled. The two of them had stayed in the dark and knew everything that happened in the hall of the Zhao family like the back of their hands. They could see that Zhao Mang was indeed a little reckless. Although he was helping his fourth sister, Zhao Ling, he had to act according to his ability. Even if he showed up, he could not change anything. On the contrary, he had put his life at risk. Of course, Jian Wushuang could understand if he took into account the environment he had been in these years and the fact that he was only 16 years old. After all, who did not have the time to be young and reckless? Moreover, anyone would lose their sense of propriety when they saw that their only family member was about to be in danger. Originally, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Xianxia did not show up at first. It was not until Zhao Yong personally tried to kill Zhao Mang that Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Xianxia showed up and repelled Zhao Yong. However, although they understood what they said, the surrounding people were confused when they heard their conversation. Who are you? An elder of the Zhao family immediately shouted. You're good at the Zhao family's meeting hall, and you even attacked our family master. How dare you? The experts of the Zhao family also glared at them angrily. Zhao Yong slowly stood up and looked up at the two people in front of him. Although his expression was a bit ugly, he still tried hard to suppress his anger. He asked, Who are you, and why are you here? We just happened to pass by here. We saw that Zhao Mang seemed to be a good guy, so we came out. Jian Wushuang smiled. Then he continued, Zhao Yong, the master of the Zhao family, right? Do you have a problem with us taking him away? What? Zhao Yong's face darkened. Then he said in surprise and anger, You don't take the Zhao family seriously. Zhao Mang is a traitor. The Zhao family is planning to execute him on the spot. How could we let you take him away? Traitor. Haha. I didn't see you being a traitor. I saw you as a father. You are a beast who would kill your son for your own benefit and the family's. Jian Wushuang sneered. A man like you is not worthy of being a father. Humph. I'm afraid it has nothing to do with you. But you are now in my family, and my family doesn't welcome you. So you'd better leave quickly and mind your own business, Zhao Yong said coldly. Of course, although he wanted Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Xianxia to leave, he did not dare to force them too hard, because he had already seen the strength of the two people in front of him in the fight just now. Not only him, but Saint Qingyan also saw it. I'm Qingyan, a disciple of Blacklight Master of the Sky Moon sect. May I know your names? Saint Qingyan was modest at first. Saint Qingyan, I know you. You're quite famous in the Bone Flood Dragon realm. Jian Wushuang smiled. As for us, you don't know us. It's easy to deal with you now that you know my words. This boy named Zhao Mang is not only disrespectful, but he also offended and even insulted me in front of everyone. Although I'm not as high and mighty as my master, I'm not someone who can be offended and insulted. Since he has already offended me, there's only death. Don't you agree? Saint Qingyan still had a wicked smile on his face. He believed that since he had revealed his identity and his master, Blacklight Master, Chu Mang would be more or less apprehensive. Chu Mang was not related to them at all. Chu Mang was also a good-for-nothing who could not even condense divine power. These two mysterious experts should not have offended him for the sake of such a good-for-nothing. However, it was clear that Saint Qingyan had underestimated Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Xianxia. After hearing Saint Qingyan's words, Jian Wushuang smiled and said, Saint Qingyan, no one can touch Zhao Mang now. As for you, I advise you to leave quietly. Are you really not giving me face? Saint Qingyan's face darkened. Ha 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 ha. Hearing this, he laughed, and his smile was full of mockery. Saint Qingyan, you think too highly of yourself. Even if your master, the Blacklight Master, is here. He is not qualified for us to give you face. What are you? How dare you? Saint Qingyan was furious. You're the one who's being presumptuous. Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly turned cold. Chenhua, kill him. Demon Master Chenhua narrowed his eyes slightly. Originally, he would have disdained to attack the saint. However, perhaps because of Zhao Mang, Demon Master Chenhua attacked him directly. With a casual wave of his hand, a majestic power that terrified everyone present, except Jian Wushuang, descended. This power was dozens or hundreds of times stronger than the one that had repelled Zhao Yong. Principal's master. Saint Qingyan's eyes widened, and his heart was filled with terror. No, please spare my life, my lords. I'm a personal disciple of the Blacklight Master, and I'm from the Illusionary Moon sect. Saint Qingyan let out a shrill cry and brought out the Blacklight Master and the Illusionary Moon sect behind him again, trying to stop the Demon Master Chenhua. However, the Demon Master Chenhua did not stop at all. Buzz! The power swept over and Saint Qingyan's divine body was instantly shattered. He did not even have a chance to struggle and died in the blink of an eye. It was as easy as crushing an ant. Seeing this scene, Jian Wushuang just smiled coldly. A mere peak saint, an ant-like thing, really thinks highly of himself. He even brought out the Blacklight Master and the Illusionary Moon sect to threaten us? What a joke! Jian Wushuang really looked down on Saint Qingyan. Not to mention Saint Qingyan, even the Blacklight Master behind him and the entire Illusionary Moon sect were no longer in his eyes. Saint Qingyan had deliberately brought out the Blacklight Master and the Illusory Moon sect to threaten him before he died. This was indeed extremely laughable. Killing Saint Qingyan was a trivial matter to Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua, but in the eyes of the Zhao family it was completely different. Qingyan. Saint Qingyan is dead? These two killed Saint Qingyan? It's over, it's over. Saint Qingyan actually died in our Zhao family. Our Zhao family is finished this time. The entire Zhao family had sunk into an unprecedented state of fear. Their fear stemmed from the terrifying strength of the Demon Master Chenhua, casually killing Saint Qingyan with a wave of his hand. This was clearly the Principal's master, the high and mighty Principal's master. He was the supreme existence that the entire Zhao family looked up to. On the other hand, they were afraid that Saint Qingyan had died in their Zhao family. The Zhao family would not be able to get away from the revenge of the Illusionary Moon sect. Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua did not care about this. After killing Saint Qingyan, Demon Master Chenhua turned to look at Zhao Mang, who was already in shock. Young man, I'm sinking fire. If you're willing, you'll be my in-name disciple from today on, Demon Master Chenhua said directly. In-name disciple? Zhao Mang was a little confused. He knew very well that Demon Master Chenhua could kill Saint Qingyan with a flip of his hand. This was clearly an existence at the level of a Principal's master. Such an existence was too far away and unattainable for him. But now, such an expert actually took the initiative to appear in front of him and wanted to take him in as an in-name disciple. To him, this was simply like a pie falling from the sky. For a moment, he was struck by this pie until his head was dizzy. What, you aren't willing? Demon Master Chenhua said indifferently. No, no. Zhao Mang hurriedly shook his head. Following that, he took a deep breath. He said solemnly, Senior, you may not know this, but my meridians have been blocked since birth. I have no way of absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Over the past 16 years, I have put in a lot of effort, but I have never been able to become a true cultivator. Before Zhao Mang could finish his sentence, the Demon Master Chenhua interrupted him. I have long seen through your physique. However, since I have made an appearance, I naturally have a way to improve your physique and allow you to become a true cultivator. Now, you only need to answer me. Are you willing to become my in-name disciple? Yes, of course I am. Zhao Mang was overjoyed when he heard Demon Master Chenhua say that he had a way to change his physique. He immediately knelt down and kowtowed 3 times to Demon Master Chenhua respectfully. He shouted, Disciple Zhao Mang greets Master. Get up. Demon Master Chenhua waved his hand and Zhao Mang could not help but stand up. Jian Wushuang, who was standing next to him, smiled and said, "Chunhua, congratulations on taking in a good disciple." A smile appeared on his face. To be honest, after a few days of observation, he liked Zhao Meng's temperament and personality very much. Apart from his lack of training and his lack of experience, he was very good in other aspects. In addition, Zhao Meng was the same as him. He had naturally terminated his meridians, which was why the demon master wanted to take him in as a disciple. As for why he was only an in-name disciple and not a personal disciple, that was only to give Zhao Meng more training. Or however, the surrounding experts of the Zhao family could not figure it out. This mysterious expert in front of us actually took this trash, Zhao Meng, as his disciple? This Zhao Meng is basically a born trash. But he actually lost to the principal's master? Could it be that this principal's master is blind? There are so many disciples in our Zhao family, and any one of them is stronger than this Zhao Meng, but he actually chose Zhao Meng as his disciple. Everyone in the Zhao clan was discussing. Of course, they were all secretly communicating, so they naturally did not dare to say it out loud. Zhao Meng, you shouldn't have any lingering feelings for the Zhao clan right now, right? Demon Master Chenhua said. Zhao Meng glanced at the surrounding Zhao clan members, then said resolutely and decisively, "Not good. That's good. Make some preparations and leave with me now," Demon Master Chenhua said. "There's no need to prepare anything. I can leave at any time. However, before I leave, I have a presumptuous request," said Zhao Meng respectfully. "Your presumptuous request is for your younger sister, right?" Demon Master Chenhua glanced at Zhao Ling beside him. "Yes." Zhao Meng nodded solemnly. "Master, since I was born and was unable to cultivate, I was completely useless in the Zhao clan. No one took me seriously. Only my fourth sister, Zhao Ling, was the only one who was concerned about the relationship between brother and sister. She has been very helpful to me over the years. If it weren't for you, Master, she would have almost become a sacrifice of the Zhao clan. Therefore, I am somewhat worried about her." "I understand." The Demon Master Chenhua nodded slightly. "However, I still have some important matters to deal with when I come to the third heaven this time. It's enough for me to bring you alone. I can't bring another person with me. However, I can promise you that before I leave, I will give your sister a safe and sound life." "Thank you, Master." Zhao Meng was overjoyed. When Zhao Ling heard this, she revealed a look of pleasant surprise. She immediately knelt down and said respectfully, "Zhao Ling, thank you for your great kindness, senior. Get up. You child, you have a good heart. It's a pity that the clan you belong to is a little too dirty," the Demon Master Chenhua said indifferently. Zhao Ling stood up and stood beside Zhao Meng. Just like Zhao Meng, she no longer had any feelings for the people of the Zhao clan around her. Her eyes were filled with coldness and disgust. Even her father, Zhao Yong, felt the same way. "All right, the two of you can leave with me now," said the Demon Master Chenhua as he prepared to leave with Zhao Meng and Zhao Ling. However, at this moment, "Wait!" a low shout suddenly rang out in the hall. Everyone looked over when they heard the shout, only to find that Zhao Yong's face was extremely ashen. He said with a trembling voice, "You killed Saint Qingyan. He is a core disciple of the Illusionary Moon sect and a personal disciple of the Blacklight Master. You can't leave." Hearing this, Jian Wushuang smiled. However, Demon Master Chenhua's face turned cold. "Zhao Yong, do you know why I didn't kill you just now?" Zhao Yong was stunned. That's right, the Demon Master Chenhua had just attacked twice. The first time he had forced him back, and the second time he had killed Saint Qingyan instantly. Since the Demon Master Chenhua could kill Saint Qingyan instantly with a flip of his hand, he naturally could also kill him instantly. However, the Demon Master Chenhua did not do so. "The reason why I spared your life and allowed your Zhao family to remain in this world is that I want to wait for Zhao Meng to grow up before I return and resolve this matter by myself. However, if you dare to say another word now, I will completely wipe out your Zhao family right now." A cold voice filled with killing intent resounded throughout the hall. The figures of the Zhao family members in the hall trembled. Zhao Yong's expression also changed greatly. Only now did he remember that the person in front of him was a principal's master. and his exact strength was unknown. The Zhao family could not afford to offend the illusionary moon sect, but they could not afford to offend the principal's master. If the person in front of them really attacked now, it would be very easy to destroy the Zhao family. Zhao Mang, let's go. Demon Master Qinhua did not bother to say anything more. He left the Zhao family with Jian Wushuang and Zhao Mang and Zhao Ling. After they left, the entire Zhao family was in an uproar. The news that Saint Qingyan had died in the Zhao family spread quickly and caused a huge wave in the Wuxian city. 2 days later, they were still in a tavern in the Wuxian city. Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua sat at a table while Zhao Mang and Zhao Ling stood respectfully by the side. Wuxian city hasn't been very quiet these 2 days, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. It seems that your killing of Saint Qingyan has caused quite a stir. Humph! It's just killing an ant, Demon Master Qinhua said disdainfully. Master, Zhao Mang said at this time. After all, Saint Qingyan is a core disciple of the illusionary moon sect. It's said that his master, Blacklight Master, has great power in the sect. If Master kills Saint Qingyan, Blacklight Master is likely to find us. Should we avoid him for now? Zhao Mang was worried for his master, Demon Master Qinhua. After all, he was born in Wuxian city and was only 16 years old. He did not have much experience. In his eyes, the illusionary moon sect could be said to be an invincible existence. Anyone would have to lower their heads in front of the illusionary moon sect. And although he could tell that his master was powerful, he did not want Qinhua to clash with the illusionary moon sect for his sake. Avoid? The illusionary moon sect alone is not qualified to make me retreat, Demon Master Qinhua said indifferently. Haha, little guy. You underestimate your master too much. Just wait and see. If the illusionary moon sect doesn't come, it'll be fine. But if they come, it'll be just as your master wants, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Zhao Mang frowned and was full of doubts. However, he saw that Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua did not care about it, so he did not say anything more. Not long after, just as Zhao Mang said, the experts of the illusory moon sect arrived. My lords, they are right there. A low voice suddenly resounded in the sky. Then, several figures appeared in the void outside the tavern at a very fast speed. Besides Zhao Yong, the master of the Zhao family, and several elders of the Zhao family, there were 3 other people who appeared. There were 2 men and 1 woman. As soon as they appeared, 3 majestic auras swept out and covered the entire Wuxian city in the blink of an eye. Principals, masters. And there are 3 of them. Countless cultivators in the Wuxian city felt the 3 auras and were terrified from the bottom of their hearts. The 5 families in the Wuxian city were trembling in front of the 3 principals masters. It's quite a big lineup. There are 3 principals masters, 1 at the peak of the 3rd realm of the Void Realm, and 2 at the 4th realm of the Void Realm. Jian Wushuang drank leisurely and said with a faint smile. Hearing this, Zhao Mang looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. In their eyes, there were 3 principals masters, and they were all powerful principals masters. The 3 of them came together, but the young man beside his master, whose name he did not know at the moment, was so relaxed. He was actually so relaxed as if he did not take the other party seriously at all. What is this person's identity? He doesn't seem to be very strong, but he seems to be on equal footing with master. Zhao Mang was curious in his heart. In the void outside the tavern, the people of the Zhao family and the 3 principals masters stood side by side. My lords, after the death of Saint Qingyan, I have been keeping an eye on these people. They are now in this tavern, Zhao Yong said. I already know. A cold-looking middle-aged man dressed in a black robe said coldly. This cold-looking middle-aged man was the master of Saint Qingyan, Blacklight Master. As soon as he received the news of the Saint Qingyan's death, he immediately invited 2 experts of the 4th level of the Void Realm from the illusionary moon sect to rush over. Their purpose was naturally to avenge the Saint Qingyan. And from the looks of it, the murderer who killed Saint Qingyan. He was not in a hurry to leave, so he naturally had the chance to avenge his disciple. Those inside, get out. Blacklight Master's voice was ice-cold, like thunder exploding in the sky. His voice carried a terrifying pressure that directly pressed down on the tavern. The power of the principal's master could shake heaven and earth when he was angry. If the pressure of Blacklight Master swept out and affected the ordinary cultivators in the tavern, none of them would be able to survive. Fortunately, when the pressure of the Blacklight Master came, Demon Master Xianxia had already attacked and blocked all the power, so that the pressure did not affect the other people in the tavern. Xianxia, you killed him. I won't get involved in this matter. Jian Wushuang still sat there and leisurely drank. Zhao Mang, you wait here, Demon Master Xianxia said and directly rushed out of the tavern. Master! Zhao Mang was very nervous and worried. But at this time, Jian Wushuang spoke again. Little guy, don't worry. The 3 people outside are nothing in front of your master. The 3 powerful principal's masters are nothing? Zhao Mang was stunned. Outside the tavern, Demon Master Xianxia had already appeared in front of Blacklight Master and the other 2. It was you who killed my disciple? Blacklight Master's gaze was cold as he stared at Demon Master Xianxia. I merely crushed an ant to death. As for whether he is your disciple, I don't know. Demon Master Xianxia said coldly with his hands behind his back. Very good. Even though I don't know who you are, since you have already agreed to kill my disciple, then pay with your life for my disciple. Blacklight Master's expression was gloomy. The 2 of us. Let's attack together and kill him. All right. The 2 Void 4th level experts beside him nodded. Although they could not see the actual strength of the Demon Master Xianxia, it was clear that he was a principal's master, and it was very likely that he was above the Void 3rd level to deal with such a principal's master. They definitely could not kill him alone, but if the 3 of them worked together, there was a great chance. Die! Blacklight Master roared, and the 3 principal's masters instantly attacked. The 3 terrifying auras instantly reached their limits. Blacklight Master took the lead, and his body was covered in endless darkness. It was as if his entire body had merged into the darkness. This endless darkness transformed into a gigantic dark beast that crazily devoured everything. The 2 people beside him were experts at the 4th level of the void, and they were even stronger than the Blacklight Master. The eyes of the beautiful woman with snow-white long hair suddenly turned ghastly white. She gently raised her jade-like hand, and a devilish purple soft sword appeared in her hand. Then, she simply slashed out. The space was sliced apart like a piece of paper. In an instant, a chill swept through the sky, and the entire world turned into a world of ice and snow. In this world of ice and snow, a cold sword shadow directly slashed toward the Demon Master Xianxia. The last person was originally over 3 meters tall, but at this moment, his body expanded once again, instantly reaching a height of 30 meters. The hair on his body expanded explosively as if he had turned into a true ancient fierce beast. The ancient ferocious beast roared and waved a huge axe in its hand. The axe shadow descended majestically as if it could smash all obstacles in front of it into pieces. The 3 principal's masters did not make a move, but when they did, the terrifying power and movements caused the entire Wuxia city to instantly sink into terror. Too strong. This is the principal's master. 3 principal's masters attacking at the same time. This scene is too terrifying. I feel like this day is about to be defeated by these 3 principal's masters. Even though I'm standing very far away, I still feel like I'm going to be killed at any moment. The principal's masters are indeed extraordinary. Countless cultivators were discussing in Wuxia City. Although there were many more experts in the 3rd heaven than in other places, those who had reached the level of principal's masters were still considered top-notch experts in the 3rd heaven. And for a small Wuxia city, the principal's masters were legendary existences that were rarely seen on normal days. But now, not only did they see the principal's masters, but they also saw 3 law masters attacking at the same time. This was the first time for many cultivators in Wuxia City to see such a scene. Haha, 3 principal's masters attacking at the same time, and one of them is at the 3rd level of the Void Realm and 2 at the 4th level of the Void Realm. With such a lineup, I want to see what this person can use to block it. Zhao Yong stood at the edge of the battlefield. Looking at the scene in front of him, his expression was extremely excited. Is this the true strength of the principal's masters? They are too terrifying. In the tavern, Zhao Mang and Zhao Ling were also amazed. Zhao Mang was more worried than amazed. These three principles masters are so terrifying. Can master withstand them? Zhao Mang was worried about Demon Master Qinhua, but Jian Wushuang, who was sitting next to him, was still leisurely drinking wine. His expression did not change at all, as if the power of the three principles masters outside the tavern burst out in an instant. It was as if he did not care about them at all. And it was true. Not only did he not care about the three principles masters, but Demon Master Qinhua was even more disdainful. Sure enough, after the three principles masters made their moves, Demon Master Qinhua also made his move directly. There was no need for Demon Master Qinhua to use his full strength to deal with a mere Void Third Realm and two Void Fourth Realm experts. He did not even use a divine weapon or true treasure. He just waved his hand and then flipped his palm. With a flip of his hand, a power that suffocated everyone present suddenly erupted. Hong! The world trembled, and this power instantly charged at the attacks of the three principles masters. The expressions of the three principles masters changed drastically at this moment. This is... Blacklight Master's eyes widened. Be careful! The beautiful woman with long snow-white hair immediately let out a fierce shout and immediately unleashed her strongest power. However, even so, rumble, the three principles masters' attacks instantly collapsed. The darkness around the Blacklight Master was scattered and retreated. His entire body flew backward like a kite with a broken string. While he was retreating, his divine body had already begun to collapse. The snow-white long-haired beauty had also disappeared. The ice and snow around her had also disappeared. Her sword shadow had also been destroyed. At the moment the power swept over, she immediately spat out blood. More than half of her divine body was instantly destroyed. Finally, the middle-aged man who had turned into a 30-meter-tall ancient beast let out crackling sounds. All the bones and muscles in his body exploded, and his divine body also quickly collapsed. In the blink of an eye, two of the three principles masters' divine bodies collapsed on the spot, and the other one's body had also collapsed by more than half. And this was completed with just a flip of the demon master's hand. Silence. The entire world had fallen completely silent. It was completely silent. In Wuxia City, countless cultivators widened their eyes and watched everything with incredulous expressions. In the tavern, Zhao Mang and Zhao Ling also had incredulous expressions. Of the three principles masters of the illusionary moon sect, one was at the third level of the Void Realm, while the other two were at the fourth level of the Void Realm. With such a powerful lineup attacking at the same time, the terrifying might earlier had frightened everyone. Previously, everyone had been amazed at how powerful these three principles masters were. However, in the blink of an eye, these three principles masters had been completely defeated. They had been defeated with a flip of their hands, and it was a miserable defeat. Everyone was shocked by this scene, and it took them a long time to calm down. If there was one person who was not surprised by this scene, it was Jian Wushuang. He knew the strength of Demon Master Qinhua very well. To be honest, the three principles masters of the illusionary moon sect, even he did not care about them, let alone Demon Master Qinhua. In the void at the center of Wuxia City, the three principles masters of the illusionary moon sect had gathered together again. The three of them stood side by side, staring at Demon Master Qinhua with unprecedented fear and shock in their eyes. Just now, I lost more than 50% of my divine power, Blacklight Master said in a low voice. I'm still fine. I only lost 30%, the 3-meter-tall middle-aged man said. I lost a little more than 10%, the snow-white long-haired beauty also said. The three of them looked at each other. Huge waves had already been stirred up in their hearts. With a flip of his hand, he had defeated the three of them and caused them to lose so much of their godly power. The other party's strength, the 6th level of the void. It's definitely the 6th level of the void. A super expert comparable to the sect master. The snow-white long-haired woman and the 3-meter-tall middle-aged man's figures started to tremble slightly. The 3-meter-tall middle-aged man directly shouted in a low voice, "Hey Yao, what that disciple of yours has done. He actually dared to provoke a super expert of the 6th level of the void. I don't know either." Master He Yao was also extremely shocked and furious at this moment. Although I know that Qing Yan is usually a little reckless, I still know his limits. Who knew that he actually provoked such an existence? Master He Yao also had some bitterness that he could not say at this moment. When he learned that Saint Qingyan had been killed by Demon Master Qinhua, he immediately invited these two fourth level of the void to take revenge. Moreover, he was mentally prepared at the beginning because in his opinion, no matter what Saint Qingyan said, he was only a saint. How strong could the experts he could provoke be? Therefore, the Blacklight Master's previous guess was that the Demon Master Qinhua was probably only at the Void 3 realms, at most at the Void 4 realms. If that was the case with their lineup, it would be very difficult to kill the other party. However, they could teach the other party a lesson, which could be considered as giving him face back. As for the Void 5th level, the Blacklight Master had just thought about it. He thought that if the Demon Master Qinhua was an expert of the Void 5th level, then the three of them might not be the other party's match. However, the three of them were not too afraid when they joined forces. Moreover, the other party would more or less give some face to the illusory moon sect. They would not continue fighting. In this way, they would only suffer a slight loss. In short, regardless of whether it was experts at the 3rd, 4th, or even the 5th level of the void, they were still within the scope of the three of them. But now, the person in front of them had revealed his strength and actually reached the 6th level of the void. Heavens, the 6th level of the void. How many are there in the entire divine beginning realm? What ability does that disciple of mine have to actually provoke such a super expert? The Blacklight Master roared in his heart. Even within my illusory moon sect, there is only Sect Master alone among the 6 void realms super experts. Moreover, Sect Master has repeatedly warned us that we must not provoke experts at this level. This is because as long as we reach the 6 void realms, we will be able to do whatever we want within the divine beginning realm. Even a Saint Realm Master might not be able to kill some of the slightly stronger 6 void realms. That's why even the 3 great Saint Realms wouldn't dare to provoke such an expert. But now we've actually provoked one. The snow-white long-haired beauty's expression was extremely solemn. It's too late to talk about this now. Let's first think about how to reconcile with the other party. If we really provoke such a great enemy for the sect this time, then we'll very likely become the sect's sinners. The 3-meter-tall middle-aged man said solemnly. Offending a Void 6 realm expert for no reason was something that even the 3 great saint realms were unwilling to do, let alone the illusory moon sect. The 3 of them were also very clear that offending a mysterious Void 6 realm expert would be a great disaster for the illusory moon sect. There was no need for the other party to come knocking on their door. The other party only needed to encounter experts from the illusory moon sect in the divine beginning realm in the future and kill every single one of them. That would be a disaster for the illusory moon sect, because the experts of the 6 states of the void could easily kill the principles masters of the illusory moon sect. On the other hand, on the illusory moon sect side, even if they used the entire sect's strength, they would not be able to kill a person of the 6 states of the void. Hey Yao, this matter was caused by your precious disciple. You can speak of this matter yourself, the snow-white long-haired beauty said. Master He Yao's expression sank. Although he was extremely unwilling, he still forcefully suppressed the fear in his heart and slowly walked to the front of Demon Master Qinhua. This Lord. The Blacklight Master opened his mouth and his voice was clearly filled with respect. Once these words were said, the countless cultivators in Wuxian City immediately went into an uproar. However, they could understand. Clearly, the 3 principles masters of the illusionary moon sect had kicked an iron plate this time. The person in front of them was an existence that the 3 of them and even the entire illusionary moon sect could not afford to offend. What do you want to say? Demon Master Qinhua's expression was cold as he looked down at Blacklight Master. Sir, this matter is purely because that disciple of mine did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. He actually offended you. He deserved to be killed by you, sir. The 3 of us did not know your strength, so we offended you just now. We hope that you can forgive us, sir. Blacklight Master's attitude was extremely low. He no longer had the airs of a law master. He had even asked for mercy from Demon Master Qinhua. Mercy? Demon Master Qinhua snickered. You weren't acting like this just now. Now that you see that I'm strong and you can't afford to offend me, you're asking for mercy? If I didn't have the strength, wouldn't I have already been killed by the three of you? This Blacklight Master's expression changed, but he did not know what to say. They were indeed in the wrong in this matter. Sir, the beautiful woman with snow-white long hair walked up. She said respectfully, "This matter is indeed the fault of the three of us. We have offended you. Sir, no matter how you want to punish the three of us, the three of us will admit it. However, sir, please don't blame our illusionary moon sect. After all, this matter is purely a private matter of my dark light. It has nothing to do with the illusionary moon sect. The three of us only acted on behalf of ourselves this time. We didn't represent the illusionary moon sect." Oh! The demon master Qinhua raised his eyebrows and glanced at the snow-white long-haired woman before he immediately smiled. "You are quite clever. Although you say that it has nothing to do with the illusory moon sect, you are actually using the illusory moon sect to make this old man have some misgivings. Moreover, you even said that the three of you are willing to accept the punishment. This can be considered giving this old man a way out. Haha! You are really very clever." The snow-white long-haired woman's expression changed slightly. That was indeed what she meant, but she was directly pointed out by the demon master Qinhua. "Girl, don't think of using the illusionary moon sect behind you to threaten this old man. To be honest, a mere illusionary moon sect is really nothing to this old man," said the demon master Qinhua directly. "That is only natural. Lord's strength is monstrous. Even if Lord Sect Master were to come personally, my illusionary moon sect might not be a match for you." "How would I dare to use the sect to threaten you?" said the snow-white long-haired woman. "Hee, your words are quite pleasant to hear. In that case, this old man can ignore this matter. However, this old man has one condition." "Please speak, my lord," the snow-white long-haired woman said as she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. She was truly worried that the demon master Qinhua in front of her was unwilling to reconcile. If that was the case, a powerful enemy at the 6th level of the void could definitely give the illusionary moon sect a headache. But now, even though the demon master Qinhua had conditions, as long as he was willing to reconcile, it was enough for them to rejoice. "Zhao Mang, Zhao Ling, come out." The demon master glanced at the tavern behind and shouted. Zhao Mang and Zhao Ling, who were in the tavern, immediately walked out. "Master!" Zhao Mang greeted respectfully. "Master!" The snow-white long-haired woman, master of black light, and the 3-meter-tall middle-aged man all looked at Zhao Mang in astonishment. They knew very well that the demon master was a terrifying existence, and his disciple should also be extremely formidable. However, when they looked over, it was obvious that Zhao Mang did not even have any divine power. He did not seem to be a cultivator. "This little fellow is actually the disciple of this lord?" The snow-white long-haired woman exclaimed inwardly. "He's from the illusionary moon sect," Demon Master Qinhua said. "My conditions are actually very simple. This is my disciple, and he will naturally follow me to roam the third heaven. However, this little fellow has a younger sister, and I can't take the little girl beside him with me. Therefore, I want to leave this little girl in your illusionary moon sect. This condition should be very easy for all of you to fulfill. Lord, don't worry. My illusionary moon sect will definitely take good care of this girl. Furthermore, if she doesn't mind, I can take her in as a personal disciple and do my best to nurture her," said the snow-white-haired woman immediately. She had thought that the conditions set by the demon master Qinhua would be harsh, but she never expected that it would only be for them to take in a girl doll. It was indeed a little too easy for them. "Take in a disciple?" The demon master Qinhua's expression changed. "If you think that this girl doll's aptitude is all right, you can take her in as a disciple. You can also let her join the illusionary moon sect. However, there is one thing that you have to take good care of her. After a period of time, when my disciple's strength grows, he will personally head to your illusionary moon sect." "Yes," the snow-white-haired woman immediately agreed. "Zhao Mang, are you and your sister satisfied with your master's arrangements?" Demon Master Qinhua looked over. "Of course I'm satisfied." Zhao Mang nodded repeatedly. At the same time, he looked over at Zhao Ling. "Many thanks, senior." Zhao Ling immediately knelt down and kowtowed to Demon Master Qinhua. "Get up." Demon Master Qinhua waved his hand. "In that case, you can follow the 3 people from the illusionary moon sect." Zhao Ling stood up and immediately rushed towards the snow-white-haired woman. Zhao Ling greets senior. What an obedient little girl. Furthermore, her aptitude seems pretty good. The snow-white-haired woman looked at Zhao Ling and revealed a smile. "My name is Bai Lu. From today onward, you will stay with me in the illusionary moon sect. After returning to the sect, I will personally arrange some tests for you. If you can pass the tests, I will accept you as my personal disciple. And even if you can't pass the tests, I will let you cultivate properly in the illusionary moon sect. I won't let anyone bully you." "Yes." Zhao Ling nodded obediently. "Sir, the 3 of us will take our leave first." The snow-white long-haired woman bowed to the Demon Master Qinhua before turning around and leaving with the Blacklight Master and the 3-meter-tall middle-aged man. After the 3 principals masters of the illusionary moon sect left, Wuxian City finally calmed down. Demon Master Qinhua narrowed his eyes and looked in one direction. Zhao Yong and the others from the Zhao family were trembling. When they noticed the gaze of the Demon Master Qinhua, their hearts trembled. Without any hesitation, they knelt down. "Spare me, my lord, spare me." Zhao Yong screamed shrilly. He did not put on any airs as the head of the family. Seeing this scene, Demon Master Qinhua felt disdain in his heart. "With just you guys, you don't have the right to make this old man personally take action. Furthermore, this old man has already said that I will leave your Zhao family to my disciple to take care of it himself. Naturally, I will keep my word." With that, Demon Master Qinhua returned to the tavern. Zhao Mang glanced at Zhao Yong and the others with disgust and followed Demon Master Qinhua back to the tavern. In the tavern, Jian Wushuang looked at Zhao Mang. He said, "I've just checked the information on Master Jade Deer. She's a good person, has always been good to her disciple, and is very protective of her shortcomings. Your sister followed her to the illusionary moon sect. I don't think she'll suffer any grievances in the future. Besides, your sister was entrusted to the illusionary moon sect by Qinhua. Even if the illusionary moon sect doesn't treat her like an ancestor, at least no one dares to bully her. So, you can leave with us without worry." "Okay." Zhao Mang nodded heavily and felt relieved. "No rush." Demon Master Qinhua waved his hand. "Although I have accepted this little guy as my disciple, his naturally terminated meridians are still there. I have to find a place to solve his naturally terminated meridians first, otherwise, he will still be unable to cultivate. Qinhua, you were also born with naturally terminated meridians, so you know this kind of physique the best. With your means, it should be very easy for you to solve this little guy's problem, right?" Jian Wushuang looked over. "Easy." Demon Master Qinhua shook his head. "Although I know how to solve his naturally terminated meridians, it's not easy to complete this step, but the price to pay is also very high. In order to solve my naturally terminated meridians, my master went through a lot of trouble. Not only did he use a lot of resources from the Amethyst Demon sect, but he also invited several principals masters to help him. Although I'm much stronger than my master now and have a lot of resources at hand, it's still not easy to solve this little guy's naturally terminated meridians. After all, the naturally terminated meridians are destined by the heavens and are restricted by the heavenly axiom. It can be said that the heavenly axiom has restricted the little guy's fate. Now, I'm going to change his terminated meridians, which means that I'm going to change his fate. Change his fate. Change his fate." Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and then asked, "What do you want to do? Is there anything I can help you with? I can complete the heaven-defying fate-changing process by myself, but to complete it, I need a large number of natural treasures, some of which are extremely precious. I can use almost all of them, but I'm missing one," said Demon Master Qinhua. "What is it?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Purple Void Divine Water," said Demon Master Qinhua. "Purple Void Divine Water? What's that? Is it very precious?" Jian Wushuang asked with a frown. In his opinion, Demon Master Qinhua was a genius expert left behind by the Amethyst Demon sect. All the treasures accumulated over the years in the sect were in his hands, including a large number of natural treasures. As long as there were high-end treasures in the divine beginning realm, Demon Master Qinhua should have all of them. If even Demon Master Qinhua could not come up with a treasure, it would be the rarest and most difficult to obtain in the entire divine beginning realm. No, the purple void divine water is not an overly precious treasure, Demon Master Qinhua said calmly. Although the purple void divine water is not very precious, it is one of the most important treasures needed to help this little guy rebuild his meridians and change his fate. Moreover, the amount required is very huge, a total of 100 million drops. 100 million drops? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Although he did not know about the purple void divine water, even if it was just ordinary river water, 100 million drops together could become a river. It's because I need too much that I don't have so much, Demon Master Qinhua said. Since the purple void divine water is not expensive, it's not difficult to get 100 million drops. Just leave it to me, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Well, with your power in the temporal temple, it's indeed easy for you to get 100 million drops of purple void divine water, Demon Master Qinhua said. However, what Demon Master Qinhua did not know was that Jian Wushuang did not want to get so much purple void divine water from the temporal temple. Instead, he immediately thought of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. The Heaven-Cleaving Alliance was the #1 alliance among the 3 freedom alliances in the divine beginning realm. Its power spread across every corner of the divine beginning realm. Naturally, there were many secret nests of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance in the 3rd heaven. At this moment, Jian Wushuang brought Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Mang to one of the secret lairs of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance in the northwest 19 regions. Qinhua, wait for me here with this little guy. I'll get the purple void divine water for you, Jian Wushuang said. Okay. Demon Master Qinhua nodded slightly. Jian Wushuang entered the secret lairs alone. Jian Wushuang had not been to the secret lair of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance for a long time. He should still be a heaven-level member, although his strength had long surpassed heaven-level or even emperor-level members. And after entering the secret lair, Jian Wushuang went straight to the treasure pavilion. Heavenly Sword Marquis, long time no see, an indifferent voice sounded. Sir Tiansua, long time no see. Jian Wushuang also smiled at the figure who appeared in front of him. The treasure spirit of the treasure pavilion Tiansua could be found in any treasure pavilion of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. What do you need? Tiansua asked directly. Purple void divine water, Jian Wushuang said. 1 drop of purple void divine water, 1,000 saint elixirs. How much do you want? Tiansua was still calm. 100 million drops, Jian Wushuang said. That much? Tiansua did not look surprised and said directly, Purple void divine water can only be exchanged for 100,000 drops with the authority of a heaven-grade member. But what? Jian Wushuang looked over. With your authority, you can exchange for 100 million drops with so many saint elixirs, Tiansua said. Why? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. You may not know this, but your authority in the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance has been upgraded to the original level, Tiansua said. What? Jian Wushuang was stunned. He clearly remembered that he was only a heaven-level member before. When did he become an original-level member of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance? As far as he knew, an original-level member was the true core of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. His authority was also very high. He did not even go to the core-level test and did not even complete the Emperor-level test. How did he become an original-level member all of a sudden? As your authority was raised by the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Palace, Tiansua said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang was speechless. Although he had never met the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Palace, they had given him a lot of benefits. From the beginning, they let him enter the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm, and later they gave him life-saving items, and now, without his knowledge, he had upgraded his authority in the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance to the primitive level. The 3 palace masters are too nice to me. What are their intentions? Jian Wushuang was puzzled, but he did not think too much about it. After all, he had not really dealt with the three palace masters. When he did, he would naturally know their intentions. Since I have the authority to exchange for it, it's easy. 1,000 saint elixirs and 1 drop of purple void divine water, 100 million drops would be 100 billion saint elixirs. However, I don't have so many saint elixirs, so I'll use divine power instead, Jian Wushuang said. Okay. Tian Suo nodded. What else do you need? I also need something that can be very helpful for comprehending the destruction principles, Jian Wushuang said. I have too many treasures that can help you to comprehend the destruction principles. However, based on your current authority and strength, I can eliminate most of the lower-level treasures for you and make a list of the treasures that are of high level and can be of real use to you, Tian Suo said with a wave of his hand. A dense information appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Although this list had been selected by the Heaven Shuttle and 99% of the treasures had been eliminated, there were still tens of thousands of treasures left, which were very helpful for comprehending the destruction principles. Of course, the exchange price and authority were also very high, and many ordinary Heaven and Emperor-level members could not exchange for them. Jian Wushuang carefully read the list. After looking through it for more than half a day, Jian Wushuang finally made a decision. Sir Tian Suo, I want to exchange for the complete 9 volumes of the Firmament Extermination and the most advanced Blizzard Divine Palace, as well as 100 Destruction Divine Fruits and 10 Heaven Exterminating Elixirs, Jian Wushuang said. Oh! Tian Suo's expression changed. That's generous. Let's not talk about the Blizzard Divine Palace, Destruction Divine Fruits and Heaven Exterminating Elixirs, but the 9 volumes of the Firmament Extermination were left by an expert at the peak of the 6th Void Realm in the Divine Beginning Realm who had studied the destruction principles to the extreme. It contains his lifelong comprehension and the use of the destruction principles. Every bit of it is extremely complete. It can be said that the entire destruction principles is included in it. This can be said to be the best supplementary treasure for comprehending the principles of destruction. In the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, many people who comprehend the principles of destruction want to exchange for the 9 volumes of the Obliteration Azure. However, most of them only exchange for 1 volume at a time. Yet, you want to exchange for all 9 volumes at once. Lord Tenzhou, just tell me how much divine power you need to exchange for these items, Jian Wushuang said. He knew that the items he had exchanged for were of great value. For example, if he had only exchanged for the first few volumes of the 9 books, it would not have been a big deal. However, if he had exchanged for all 9 volumes, the price he would have to pay, it would probably be much higher than the entire wealth of an ordinary principles master. However, the 9 volumes of Obliteration were indeed very useful to him. It must be noted that he had already mastered 2 rules and fused them together. The next step was naturally to find a way to master the 3rd principle. Jian Wushuang had already planned to comprehend the 3rd principle by comprehending the destruction principles. After all, he had the highest affinity for the destruction principles, which was no weaker than his affinity for the spacetime principles. The speed of comprehending the destruction principles would be much slower if he just blindly comprehended it. The 9 volumes of Vast Heaven included everything from the entry to perfect mastery of the destruction principles to the use of it after perfect mastery. It was extremely detailed, which was indeed very useful to him. As for the Blizzard Divine Palace, it was a test method to test the destruction principles. The Blizzard Divine Palace was divided into 33 levels, which corresponded to different levels of comprehension of the destruction principles. Jian Wushuang also wanted to go to the Blizzard Divine Palace to temper himself while comprehending the destruction principles. It would promote his comprehension. Although the Blizzard Divine Palace was not as expensive as the 9 volumes of Vast Heaven Extermination, it was almost as valuable as a supreme treasure. The last 2 Divine Destruction Fruits and the Heaven-Destroying Elixir were supplementary treasures that were very helpful in comprehending the destruction principles. With the help of the Divine Destruction Fruits and the Heaven-Destroying Elixir, Jian Wushuang would be able to comprehend the principles more quickly. Could be said that these things were what he needed. As long as they were really useful, Jian Wushuang would not care about the value of these treasures. I've calculated it for you. The treasures you want together are worth 30,000 drops of divine power. If you add the 100 million drops of purple void divine water you asked for, It's a total of 32,000 drops of divine power, Xianxia said. 32,000 drops? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. As far as he knew, the average principles master of the 3 void realms only had about 10,000 drops of divine power. 32,000 drops of divine power. That was more than the total wealth of many experts of the void 3 realms. The reason why the price is so high is because the value of the 9 exterminating song scrolls is too high. In total, the treasure pavilion usually exchanges 25,000 drops of divine power for the 9 scrolls. However, because you are an original level member of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, I gave you a discount. It's only 20,000 drops of divine power, Xianxia said. No problem. This is 32,000 drops of divine power. You can count it. Jian Wushuang took out an interspatial ring. Xianxia glanced at it and nodded slightly. Not bad, Heavenly Sword Marquis. I didn't know you were so rich. Eh? Jian Wushuang smiled. Although he was only an immortal saint and could not condense divine power, his strength was far above that of ordinary principles masters. Moreover, during the battle on Saha Island, he had been blessed by the Blood Wave realm. He had killed several principles masters with 1 sword attack. Among them, the Nether Master and the 4 Divine Flame Guards were experts at the peak of the Void 5 realms. Jian Wushuang had killed them with 1 sword attack. Naturally, he had also taken their interspatial rings, so his value had skyrocketed. 32,000 drops of divine power was not a big number for him at the moment. Heavenly Sword Marquis, just wait here. The Heaven-Cleaving Alliance will send you what you want in a few days, Xianxia said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. Jian Wushuang waited in the secret lair. Only 3 days later, someone from the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance handed him the items he had exchanged for. After the items were in his hands, Jian Wushuang met up with Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Meng. Qinhua, this is the purple void divine water you need. Take a look and see if it's enough. Jian Wushuang handed the interspatial ring filled with purple void divine water to Demon Master Qinhua. Demon Master Qinhua took it and glanced at it before nodding. It's enough. With this purple void divine water, I can definitely help this little guy change his fate. But before that, I have to find a quiet place. After all, it takes a long time to complete the change. Even if I do it myself, it will take at least 3 months. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you'd better protect us. Don't let anyone disturb us. No problem, Jian Wushuang agreed readily. 3 days later, this is it. Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua stopped in a remote mountain range. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'll change this little guy's fate here. Although this place is remote, during the process of changing my fate, people will inevitably be attracted to me. I'll have to rely on you to keep them out, Demon Master Qinhua said. Qinhua, from your words, it seems that many people will be attracted to you once you change your fate? Jian Wushuang looked at Demon Master Qinhua in surprise. You'll find out later. However, there shouldn't be any great experts around this territory. With your strength, you can handle everything, said Demon Master Qinhua. I'll try my best. Jian Wushuang rolled his eyes. Zhao Meng, come with me. Demon Master Qinhua led Zhao Meng into the depths of the mountains and immediately opened a cave mansion, ready to change his fate. As for Jian Wushuang, he sat down in a nearby mountain and took out a black scroll. This black scroll was the first scroll of the 9 exterminating firmament scrolls. Although Jian Wushuang had a high affinity for the destruction principles, which was no less than his affinity for the spacetime principles, he had not really entered the rudiments of the destruction principles because he had not tried to comprehend them before. Now that he wanted to comprehend them, he naturally had to start from the most basic level. The first scroll he took out was also aimed at the rudiments of the destruction principles from the beginning to the end. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged on the mountain and soon began to comprehend the principles of destruction. Gradually, a large amount of power of the principles of destruction began to gather around him. Time passed. For the first 10 days, the mountain was very quiet. Jian Wushuang was still meditating on the principles of destruction. Deep in the mountain, Demon Master Qinhua had already begun to help Zhao Meng change his fate. But at first, there was no movement, and the surrounding territory was very quiet. No other experts passed by. Until a month after the beginning of the change, there was finally a change. The world shook violently. Then, a strange wave spread out in the cave mansion where Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Mang were. Is this wave fate? Jian Wushuang stopped comprehending the destruction principles and looked at the cave mansion. The strange fluctuations swept in all directions, causing the entire heaven and earth to change. At the same time, vast power of the will began to condense at an astonishing speed in the sky. Oh, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao! Jian Wushuang raised his head and sensed the existence of the power of the will of the heavenly Tao from the void. Moreover, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao continued to condense and increase at an astonishing speed. It seems that the power of the will of heaven is also unacceptable to the will of heaven. If Qinhua wants to successfully change the fate of the little guy, he has to face the power of the will of heaven. However, this is the third heaven after all, where the power of the will of heaven is the strongest. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. He could sense that the power of the will of heaven was rapidly condensing. Soon, the power of the will of heaven had already surpassed the principal's master of the 4 void realms, and it was still increasing. After a while, the power of the will of heaven had surpassed the 5 void realms and reached the level of the 6 void realms. At this point, the power of the will of heaven finally stopped condensing. It's equivalent to the level of the 6 void realms. Tisk tisk. The power of the will of heaven in the third heaven is indeed not weak. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, but he did not care at all. When the power of the will was condensed, it naturally sensed his existence. However, the power of the will did not have any intention of attacking Jian Wushuang. Instead, it concentrated all its power on the heads of Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Mang. When the power of the will of heaven was condensed to the maximum, boom! The world-destroying divine thunder suddenly descended. The world-annihilating divine thunder carried the full power of the will of the heavenly Tao. It instantly streaked across the sky and struck toward the cave abode where Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Mang were. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang did not react at all. He knew very well that although the power of the will of the heavenly Tao represented the will of the heavenly Tao, it was not omnipotent in the divine beginning realm. Instead, it had to abide by certain principles which also determined the power it could gather. Now that Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Mang were defying the heavens and changing their fate, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao could only be mobilized as much as the power of the 6 void realms in the third heaven. However, if Jian Wushuang interfered at this time, it would give the will of the heavenly Tao a chance to mobilize more power than the power of the 6 void realms. The loss outweighed the gain. Moreover, Jian Wushuang also knew that the power of the will of the heavenly Tao, which was comparable to the power of the 6 void realms, was far from enough to deal with Demon Master Qinhua. Sure enough, the Demon Master of the cave mansion attacked directly. A majestic power suddenly rose, which was extremely powerful and instantly destroyed the world-destroying divine thunder that fell from the sky. It did not affect the power of the divine thunder in the cave mansion at all. The first world-destroying divine thunder was directly destroyed, but the power of the will of the heavenly Tao did not stop at all. Boom! 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 One after another, incomparably huge bolts of world-destroying divine lightning descended. Any one of these world-destroying divine lightning was comparable to an attack of a void 6th realm expert. However, at this moment, the densely packed world-destroying divine lightning was continuously attacking. If it were to meet with a weaker principal's master, it would be very easy for it to be shattered into pieces. Even if they were similarly experts of the void 6th realm, they had to simultaneously block these divine lightning and destroy all of them at the same time, not allowing the divine lightning to have even the slightest bit of power within the cave abode. He was afraid that he would not be able to do so. However, Demon Master Qinhua had already reached the peak of the 6 realms of the void and was only one step away from the peak. His strength far exceeded that of an ordinary expert of the 6 realms of the void. If he wanted to destroy all the divine thunder, he could do it. Tisk, tsk. The power that the will of heaven can mobilize in the third heaven is indeed extraordinary. Jian Wushuang was secretly amazed. In fact, Demon Master Chenhua could have brought Zhao Mang to the second heaven or changed his fate in the first heaven. In that case, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao would not be as powerful as it was now. It would have been easier for him to resist. For example, Demon Master Chenhua's master had changed his fate in the Amethyst Demon sect in the second heaven. At that time, not only his master had helped him, but also the many strong warriors of the Amethyst Demon sect and the sect-protecting formation. Even though the heavenly Tao's will had mobilized an extremely powerful force, it was unable to annihilate the Demon Master Chenhua in the end. But now, the Demon Master Chenhua alone was enough to withstand the power of the heavenly Tao's will. In the sky above, the heavenly Tao's will continued to pour down world-destroying divine thunder and bombard the cave abodes below. Perhaps the heavenly Tao's will had already understood that it was unable to do anything to the Demon Master Chenhua, but to the heavenly Tao's will. Even if it only affected the Demon Master Chenhua to a certain extent, making it impossible for him to continue changing Zhao Mang's fate, it was already worth it. Unfortunately, no matter how much the will of the heavenly Tao attacked, it was easily blocked by the Demon Master Chenhua. The heaven-defying change of fate in the cave abode did not stop at all and continued. In a flash, 2 hours had passed. The power of the will of the heavenly Tao had finally been exhausted, and the will of the heavenly Tao could only retreat helplessly. With the departure of the will of the heavenly Tao, the world became calm again. Is it over? Jian Wushuang's expression changed, but then he shook his head. No, Chenhua said that it would take at least 3 months to complete the heaven-defying change of fate. It's only been 1 month. As expected, not long after the will of the heavenly Tao retreated, the earth suddenly began to rumble, and the entire sky seemed to tremble. A unique aura suddenly spread out from the cave mansion in the middle of the mountain range, and it swept in all directions in an instant. This scene was very similar to the birth of some special treasures. Moreover, the noise was shocking. This noise is really big. Within the range of my soul perception, the whole world is shaking crazily. Such a huge noise. No wonder Chenhua said before that during the process of changing fate, many experts will be attracted. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He knew very well that the commotion was very shocking. The scene was like the birth of a treasure, so it naturally attracted attention. Although they had chosen a secluded place to change fate, such a huge commotion could still attract some of the experts nearby. For these experts, Demon Master Chenhua probably did not have time to deal with them. Naturally, he could only leave it to Jian Wushuang, who was guarding the side. The third heaven, the Dragon Fire domain of the 19 Northwest territories. This Dragon Fire domain was the most unique existence among the 19 Northwest territories. This was because the other 18 territories were under the control of the Illusionary Moon Sky Sect and the Burning Heart Sky Sect. Only this Dragon Fire domain was not under the control of the 2 great sky sections. However, it was sandwiched between the territories of the 2 great sky sections. The situation was naturally quite delicate. However, it was also because the Dragonfire domain was not under the control of the 2 great celestial sects that many experts from the surrounding territories had come here. Some of them had established their own forces and sects here, therefore, there were many more experts in the Dragonfire domain than in the other territories. There were many large and small forces in the Dragonfire domain. Among them, the strongest ones were the 3 great sects. These 3 great sects were the Azure Demon Divine Hall, the U Palace. Among the 3 great sects, the Azure Demon Divine Hall was the strongest, the other 2 great sects were second, and each of these 3 great sects had several principals masters overseeing them. At this moment, within one of the 3 great sects, the Yu Hua sect. Within the grand ceremony, the 3 principals masters of the Yu Hua sect gathered here. Their expressions were extremely unsightly. The news has already been confirmed. The Azure Demon Divine Hall was indeed the one who destroyed the Crimson Water Island. Moreover, they were able to destroy the island with ease. After destroying the Crimson Water Island, the Azure Demon Divine Hall still has the intention to attack the surrounding sects. A middle-aged man with long green hair said in a low voice, "The Azure Demon Divine Hall is finally unable to hold back anymore." Sect Master Yu Hua clenched his hands tightly, his expression cold. This is within expectations. The Azure Demon Divine Hall strength is already much stronger than the other factions in the Dragonfire domain. Even our Yu Palace is still quite a distance away from them. Not long ago, there was news that the Azure Demon Divine Hall had obtained a fortuitous encounter, and his strength has increased by another step, reaching the 5th level of the Void Realm. The 5th level of the Void Realm. This is already one of the top experts. No one in our Dragonfire domain can contend against him. The Azure Demon Divine Hall naturally doesn't have to worry about anything. They will directly start to annex the other sects and factions around them, the white-robed woman said in a deep voice. The Azure Demon Divine Hall has only destroyed one Crimson Water Island. It won't be long before the Azure Demon Divine Hall acts against the other sects and factions. In the end, they will naturally not let us, the Yu Palace and the Ascendant sect off. With our current strength, we have no chance of winning against the Azure Demon Divine Hall. When they heard this, both Sect Master Yu Hua and the middle-aged man with long green hair fell silent. Indeed, although the Yu Hua sect was one of the 3 great sects in the Dragonfire domain, their strength was far inferior to that of the Azure Demon Divine Hall. Usually, the strongest Azure Demon of the Azure Demon Divine Hall was only at the peak of the Void 4th stage, although it was much stronger than the peak of the Void 3rd stage of Sect Master Yu Hua. Azure Demon was not confident that he could kill the Sect Master Yu Hua. Hence, the Azure Demon Divine Hall had been restraining itself. However, now that Azure Demon had reached the Void 5th stage, his strength had soared. If they were to fight head-on, Azure Demon had a chance to kill Sect Master Yu Hua. After all, there was a gap of 2 levels between the Void 3rd stage and the Void 5th stage. What about the Great Yu Palace? They should have also noticed the movements of the Azure Demon Divine Hall, right? Sect Master Yu Hua asked. Of course they have. However, when I sent a message to ask, the Great Yu Palace still appeared rather calm. The middle-aged man with long green hair said, "Humph, of course they are calm. After all, the Palace Master of the Great Yu Palace has already reached the 4th stage of the Void Realm. Furthermore, he has an extremely powerful supreme treasure in his hands. Even if that Azure Demon has already reached the 5th stage of the Void Realm, he still can't do anything to the Palace Master of the Great Yu Palace. Hence, the Azure Demon Divine Hall will more or less have some misgivings toward the Great Yu Palace. The Great Yu Palace knows this as well," Sect Master Yu Hua said with a cold snort. "But if the Azure Demon Divine Hall succeeds and annihilates all the other sects in the Dragonfire domain, including my Yu Hua sect, then only Yu Palace will remain. Sooner or later, it will be swallowed by the Azure Demon Divine Hall," the white-robed woman said. "Who knows what that old fellow from Yu Palace is thinking?" Sect Master Yu Hua said in a low voice. The 3 principals masters of Yu Hua were all very worried about the Azure Demon Divine Hall at this moment, but at this moment, Wang, a unique aura suddenly swept over. The 3 principals masters immediately sensed this aura, and at the same time, they discovered that the surrounding void began to faintly tremble. "What's going on?" Sect Master Yu Hua immediately raised his head. "This aura came from that direction, and it seems to be very far away," the white-robed woman said. "What a huge commotion!" The green-haired, middle-aged man looked surprised. "It's still coming from within Yu Hua despite being so far away? Such a huge commotion. Could it be that a universe true treasure has been born?" Sect Master Yu Hua's eyes immediately lit up. "This aura does seem to be coming from the birth of a true treasure," said the white-robed woman. "If it is a true treasure," said the middle-aged man with long green hair, "then it must be an extraordinary true treasure. It might be a top-tier true treasure. Haha! The heavens are really on our side. We were worried that we wouldn't be able to face Green Demon Godly Palace. Now, a top-tier true treasure is attacking us. If I can get my hands on that top-tier true treasure, I might be able to raise my combat power to the next level, which is comparable to the 4 levels of the void space. I won't be too afraid even if Green Demon attacks me personally," said Sect Master Yu Hua. He immediately gave the order. "Let's go. We'll rush over immediately." Without any hesitation, the 3 principals masters of the Yu Hua immediately rushed toward the source of the disturbance. The 3 of them pushed their speed to the limit, afraid that others would get there first. As they flew at high speed, the 3 principals masters of Yu Hua still used nearly 15 minutes to get close to the source of that unique aura. "This place is so remote." The green-haired, middle-aged man looked around. The more remote the place is, the more likely it is that a true treasure will be born. And from the looks of it, the three of us should be the first to arrive here. That true treasure is ours. Yuhua sect master looked eager. The true treasure is in that mountain range, in that direction. The white-robed woman pointed in a direction of the mountain range in front of them. The three of them were ready to rush there. But before they could get close to the mountain range, "Stop, you three!" A voice suddenly sounded in their ears, and then a figure appeared in front of the three principals masters. This person was carrying a long sword on his back, and the muscles on his face were wriggling. It was obvious that he had changed his appearance. This person was naturally Jian Wushuang, who was staying around the mountain range to protect Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Mang. Ha! The three people who were excited immediately stopped. When they saw Jian Wushuang in front of them, their pupils constricted. "Who are you?" Sect Master Yuhua asked in a low voice. "It doesn't matter who I am. The important thing is that you must have been attracted by the noise coming from the center of the mountain range, right? If I'm not mistaken, you must have thought that a supreme treasure was born here, right?" Jian Wushuang said indifferently. "Yes." Sect Master Yuhua nodded. "In that case, please go back. The noise was not caused by the birth of the supreme treasure. It was caused by a friend of mine who was in closed-door cultivation in the mountain range," Jian Wushuang said. "Nonsense!" Sect Master Yuhua shouted. "This aura is so unique. It must be caused by the birth of the supreme treasure. How could it be caused by a cultivator in closed-door cultivation? Also, did you just say that it was your friend who was in seclusion? But this aura spread so widely and created such a big commotion. To create such a big commotion, the person in seclusion must be at least a top expert of the fourth or even the fifth realm of the void. You, a mere saint, are not qualified to be friends with such an expert. You are clearly lying. Your Excellency." Jian Wushuang was about to explain. "Shut up," the middle-aged man with long green hair shouted. "A mere saint dares to block our way. He's really courting death." As soon as he finished his words, the middle-aged man with long green hair trembled, and an aura of the third realm of the void instantly burst out. The three principals masters of the Yuhua sect were all quite strong. Among them, the Yuhua sect master was already at the peak of the third realm of the void, and the middle-aged man with long green hair had just reached the third realm of the void. Only the white-robed woman was slightly weaker, however. She was also at the peak of the second realm of the void realm. Now, as soon as the middle-aged man with long green hair revealed his aura, he immediately transformed into a fierce beast and rushed toward Jian Wushuang, intending to kill him. "It seems that I can't let them leave just by talking. In that case, I'll have to beat them back." Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold, and he suddenly rushed forward. In an instant, he was in front of the green-haired middle-aged man. At the same time, the long sword behind him had been unsheathed. An immortal saint and a principal's master of the third realm of the void collided in an instant. Peerless sword technique, Xianxia. Blood Mountain sword slashed out ferociously. In an instant, a scarlet sword light, like a blood-red lightning, easily tore through space and slashed toward the green-haired middle-aged man with a shocking power. The green-haired middle-aged man had originally intended to kill Jian Wushuang, so he did not hold back because Jian Wushuang was just an immortal saint. He waved his saber, which also turned into dazzling golden light. It was extremely gorgeous. The two suddenly collided. Clang! A crisp sound of collision rang out, and the surrounding space directly cracked. It should be known that Jian Wushuang had already activated his life divine power. Although he had not used the heaven-cleaving skill, he could control 3 parts of the power of his will. With the life divine power and the Xixiang move, the power of the explosion was definitely not weaker than that of an expert at the peak of the fourth void realm. The cyan-haired middle-aged man had just reached the third void realm. At the moment of the collision, the cyan-haired middle-aged man's saber was instantly slashed in a different direction by the terrifying power contained in the blood-red sword light. However, the blood-red sword light did not lose its momentum and directly hit his divine body. Bang! The sword light swept over, and the terrifying power instantly smashed the god body of the middle-aged man with long green hair into pieces. The divine body of the middle-aged man with long green hair also immediately collapsed and turned into a sky full of divine power. This divine power rapidly gathered in the void. After a moment, it gathered again, and the figure of the middle-aged man with long green hair appeared again. However, at this moment, his face was filled with astonishment. Behind him, Sect Master Yu Hua and the white-robed woman also widened their eyes in disbelief. A void third-level Principles Master was fighting head-on with an immortal saint. Moreover, they were fighting head-on. In the end, in an instant, this void third-level divine body was smashed into pieces? What kind of situation was this? Could this person be an extremely terrifying Principles Master? Is he intentionally concealing his aura? Sect Master Yu Hua could not help but ask. That's not right. If he really is the Principles Master who intentionally concealed his aura, then no matter how well he concealed his aura, once he attacked, that divine power aura wouldn't be able to be concealed. However, the divine power aura on his body is indeed at the level of an immortal saint. Even when he waved his sword, it was still the same. However, he's just an immortal saint, the white-robed woman said. There's only one immortal saint in the divine beginning realm. The white-robed woman suddenly raised her head. Oman, Heavenly Sword Marquis. He's Heavenly Sword Marquis. Sect Master Yu Hua, the white-robed woman, and the middle-aged man with long green hair, who had just been defeated by his divine body, all stared at Jian Wushuang. Seeing that the three of them had already said his name, Jian Wushuang felt helpless. He had come to the third heaven because he did not want to be too ostentatious, so he deliberately changed his appearance. Even if someone provoked him, he usually did not make a move and let Demon Master Qinhua deal with them. But now, Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Mang were in the cave mansion in the mountain range. He had to protect them and deal with the three Principles Masters. Once he made a move, his identity would naturally be exposed. Three of you, I have no intention of making an enemy of you. However, it is true that a good friend of mine is in seclusion in the cave mansion. I am guarding him outside. During his seclusion, no one is allowed to disturb him. So, the three of you should leave, Jian Wushuang said calmly. The three Principles Masters of the Yu Hua sect had gathered together, but at the moment, their expressions were very serious. At the same time, they were secretly discussing. I didn't expect that the immortal saint was Heavenly Sword Marquis, and his strength is indeed as terrifying as the rumors say. No, he should be stronger than the rumors say, the green-haired middle-aged man said in a low voice. I had already used all my strength to attack just now, but in a head-on clash with him, I was completely crushed by him in terms of power. Moreover, my divine body was instantly destroyed. I'm sure that the power that the Heavenly Sword Marquis Sword just released in an instant has already surpassed most of the experts of the Void Fourth Realm. It has even reached the peak of the Void Fourth Realm. With such strength, even if the three of us attacked at the same time, we might not be able to contend against him. The strength of Heavenly Sword Marquis is obvious. If the three of us choose to fight him head-on, it would definitely be irrational, the white-robed woman added. In the vast void space, the three Principles Masters of Yu Hua sect were gathered there, and the one standing in front of them was only an immortal saint. However, the three Principles Masters still felt tremendous pressure. Two of you, do you think what Heavenly Sword Marquis said is true? Sect Master Yu Hua looked at the two people around him. Of course, it must be false. Such a commotion is obviously caused by the birth of a supreme treasure. How could it be caused by a powerful warrior in seclusion? The middle-aged man with long green hair said. I think so too. Heavenly Sword Marquis must have sensed the birth of a supreme treasure just like us and rushed here. He was just one step ahead of us. Because the supreme treasure hasn't been fully born yet, he came out to ask us to leave, the white-robed woman said. We all think that Heavenly Sword Marquis is lying, but his strength is obvious. It won't be easy for us to get the supreme treasure from him. The green-haired, middle-aged man frowned. With the strength that Jian Wushuang had just displayed, even if the three of them attacked together, they would probably be defeated by Jian Wushuang. There's no rush. The appearance of this supreme treasure is so big that the entire Dragonfire domain will probably be alarmed. We, the Yuhua sect, are the first to arrive because we are close to this place. However, as expected, many experts from the other two sects and the Dragonfire domain should have also arrived. Heavenly Sword Marquis can block us, but I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to block all the experts from the Dragonfire domain. Sect Master Yuhua said, but if we wait for the other experts from the Dragonfire domain, the Yu Palace and the Green Demon Divine Palace to arrive, then we won't have the advantage of fighting for the supreme treasure, the white-robed woman said in a low voice. There's nothing we can do about it. We'll think of a solution when the time comes. Let's retreat to the side for now. After Sect Master Yuhua made his decision, the three of them flew directly to the side. Jian Wushuang had been paying attention to the movements of the three of them, so he naturally saw their movements. Although the three of them have retreated, they didn't go too far. Instead, they just stayed around. It seems that they don't believe what I said and still want to wait for an opportunity. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. He felt quite helpless in his heart. He knew very well that the commotion caused by Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Mang was like the birth of a top-tier treasure. Although he had explained to the three of them, it was still too difficult for them to believe him. Now, the three of them had retreated to the side temporarily because they were afraid of his strength. However, it was clear that they had no intention of leaving. Instead, they were waiting for an opportunity and for other experts to arrive. As expected, not long after, another expert was attracted by the unique aura and rushed to this mountain range. This time, it was only a solitary expert with the strength of the third realm of the void. After arriving, the solitary principal's master, like the Yuhua sect, attempted to enter the cave mansion that emitted the aura to investigate. Of course, he was immediately stopped by Jian Wushuang. A solitary expert of the third realm of the void was easily crushed by Jian Wushuang. He had no choice but to retreat to the side, but he did not leave either. As time passed, more and more experts were attracted by the unique aura. Apart from Yuhua sect, most of the principal's masters who stood at the top of the Dragonfire domain were attracted. However, most of them were solitary principal's masters. There were not many of them, so they came one by one. They were all easily blocked by Jian Wushuang. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed since the commotion in the cave mansion. At this moment, there were already 8 principal's masters gathered around the cave mansion. In addition, there were many immortal saints. After these immortal saints arrived and saw the situation in front of them, they knew that they had no ability to compete. However, they did not intend to leave. Instead, they stayed to watch the show. More and more experts are coming. Jian Wushuang stood in the void in front of the cave mansion and spread his soul power, watching all the experts around him. There are 8 principal's masters here. Although most of them are not strong, they can cause me some trouble if they join hands. Moreover, there are still experts coming. It won't be long before all the experts in the Dragonfire domain come here. This is not small trouble. Jian Wushuang sighed. At this moment, Jian Wushuang noticed that there were 4 principal's masters in the void in front of him. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes and immediately went up to meet them. Bang! With a violent boom, a 5-meter-wide spatial black hole appeared in the void, crazily devouring everything. The 4 principal's masters had also stopped. Heavenly Sword Marquis, Yu Palace doesn't want to be your enemy. However, the supreme treasure in the middle of the mountain range is not something you can occupy alone. Get out of the way, or don't blame me for being rude. A burly red-browed elder stared at Jian Wushuang. He stared at Jian Wushuang. The red-browed elder was the palace master of Yu Palace, an expert who had reached the 4th realm of the void. Palace Master Yu, I've told you that there are no supreme treasures in this mountain range. You've made a mistake, so I advise you to leave as soon as possible, Jian Wushuang said coldly. Humph, you're too stubborn. Palace Master Yu obviously did not believe Jian Wushuang's words. He snorted and a large amount of red flames burst out from his body, causing the entire world to sink into a sea of red flames. Palace Master Yu's figure suddenly flashed, and the scarlet hammer in his hand fiercely smashed toward Jian Wushuang, as if it could split the heaven and earth apart. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold, and he immediately attacked. Clang, clang, bang. In the blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang and Palace Master Yu collided 3 times in the void. The 3 collisions were head-on and head-on. In the first collision, Palace Master Yu's body trembled and he immediately sank. In the second collision, the scarlet hammer in Palace Master Yu's hand was thrown away. In the third collision, Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain sword was not hindered at all. It directly struck Palace Master Yu's divine body, causing it to collapse by more than half. He also retreated in a sorry state. In the blink of an eye, the battle between the two had been decided. Palace Master Yu was completely defeated. The terrifying strength Jian Wushuang displayed in this battle also frightened the people from the palace and the surrounding spectators. In the end, the 4 people from the palace had no choice but to retreat to the side temporarily. Yu the Great. Just as they retreated to the edge, the 3 principals masters of the Yu Hua sect walked over. Sect Master Yu Hua, how long have you been here? Palace Master Yu De looked at the 3 people from Yu Hua sect who had arrived. It has already been more than 2 hours. Other than Heavenly Sword Marquis, our Yu Hua sect was the first to arrive. However, after we arrived, we were blocked by Heavenly Sword Marquis, so we had no way to come into contact with the cave abode. Sect Master Yu Hua said. In other words, you don't know what's inside the cave abode? Palace Master Yu De asked. We don't. Among all the people present, Heavenly Sword Marquis is probably the only one who knows. However, Heavenly Sword Marquis said that a good friend of his was in seclusion inside the cave abode. The movements in the surroundings were also sent by that good friend of his. I don't really believe this reason, said Sect Master Yu Hua. I don't believe it either, Palace Master Yu De also said solemnly. But as you can see, this Heavenly Marquis Jian is terrifyingly strong. He defeated me with just 3 strikes. His strength is probably comparable to an expert at the 5th level of the void. With him blocking the outside, it won't be easy for us to force our way in. Yes, said Sect Master Yu Hua. Not only is Heavenly Sword Marquis powerful, but he also has many techniques. Rumor has it that he is also good at the shadowless escape technique of Bloodblade Master. Once he uses the shadowless escape technique, his speed is also incredibly fast. Even if we join forces with all the great beings present, we might not be able to do anything to him. Most importantly, the strange phenomenon in the cave abode is still continuing. This means that the true treasures in there should not have been completely born yet. If he has already appeared, then it will be easy. At most, all of us will rush forward together. Even if the Heavenly Sword Marquis is extremely powerful, he will not be able to stop all of us at once. There will always be people who will seize the opportunity to enter the cave abode and leave with the supreme treasure. However, since he has not appeared, without the supreme treasure that has completely appeared, there is no way to directly take it away. Palace Master Yu De said. Let's wait and see. When this phenomenon disappears and that supreme treasure is fully born, we will swarm forward together. At that time, Heavenly Sword Marquis won't be able to stop us. Sect Master Yu Hua said. I'm not worried about Heavenly Sword Marquis. I'm worried about the Azure Demon Divine Hall. Palace Master Yu Da's expression was solemn. The appearance of this supreme treasure has caused such a huge commotion. Not only are Yu Da Palace and your Yu Hua sect, but the Azure Demon Divine Hall must have noticed it as well. If I'm not mistaken, the experts from the Azure Demon Divine Hall are also rushing over. I'm afraid that they will arrive here soon. Azure Demon Divine Hall. Sect Master Yu Hua's face darkened. Among all the forces in the Dragonfire domain, the Azure Demon Divine Hall was the one that Yu Hua sect feared the most. Let's wait and see. Even if the Azure Demon Divine Hall arrives, our 2 families might be able to compete with it even if we join hands. Sect Master Yu Hua said. Okay. Palace Master Yu De nodded slightly. Obviously, Yu Palace was willing to join hands with Yu Hua sect when they faced the Azure Demon Divine Hall. As time passed, more and more experts gathered around, but no one was able to break into the cave mansion because of Jian Wushuang's obstruction. At this moment, in the void not far away, several figures flew over side by side. The leader was a middle-aged man in a cyan suit. Even the middle-aged man's eyes were suffused with a single cyan light, making him look very evil. When they saw the person who had arrived, the hearts of the many experts who had gathered in this area tensed up. Azure Demon Divine Hall. The people from Azure Demon Divine Hall have finally arrived. Then the person in the lead should be Azure Demon, right? It said that Azure Demon had obtained an opportunity not too long ago and had already broken through to the 5th stage of the Void. The 5th stage of the Void is unrivaled within the Dragonfire domain. One after another, respectful voices rang out. Even the principal's masters from Yuta Palace and Yuhua sect could not help but feel apprehensive when they saw the arrival of the Azure Demon Divine Hall's people, especially when they saw the leader, Azure Demon. In the blink of an eye, the group of 4 from the Azure Demon Divine Hall had already arrived at the center of the mountain. The leader of the group, Azure Demon, looked around and had already noticed the many experts gathered around him. Why aren't these people entering the cave abode? What are they doing outside? Azure Demon revealed a puzzled expression. Who knows? They probably haven't started fighting over the treasure yet because it hasn't fully emerged yet. A principal's master from the Azure Demon Divine Hall beside him said, "Humph, let's ignore them. Since our Azure Demon Divine Hall has already arrived, this supreme treasure is ours." Azure Demon coldly snorted, "Come, let's go in." The 4 people from the Azure Demon Divine Hall, led by Azure Demon, rushed toward the cave abode that was emitting a strange sound. When they saw this scene, the surrounding experts did not have any intention of stopping them. Instead, they revealed strange expressions. The people from the Azure Demon Divine Hall are heading toward that cave abode. That cave abode is guarded by the Heavenly Sword Marquis. We have seen his strength. He is probably not much weaker than the 5 Void Realms. Although Azure Demon is also extremely strong, it is not certain who will win against the Heavenly Sword Marquis. Let's see. Even if it is Azure Demon, it won't be so easy to pass the Heavenly Sword Marquis. The surrounding experts were all looking forward to it. Even the Yu Palace and the Yu Hua sect were looking forward to the Azure Demon Divine Hall and the Heavenly Sword Marquis. After all, the Azure Demon Divine Hall could be said to be the dominant force in the Dragonfire domain. Although the Yu Palace and the Yu Hua sect were also one of the 3 major forces, their overall strength was much weaker than the Azure Demon Divine Hall. Neither of them had the ability to fight against the Azure Demon Divine Hall, but Heavenly Sword Marquis, who was blocking them, had the ability to challenge the Azure Demon Divine Hall. Sure enough, just as the 4 people of the Azure Demon Divine Hall were about to approach the cave mansion, Jian Wushuang came up to them. "Please go back," Jian Wushuang said coldly. "Who are you? You are just an immortal saint. How dare you block our way?" A principal's master of the Azure Demon Divine Hall immediately shouted, "My name is Heavenly Sword Marquis." Jian Wushuang remained calm. In any case, his identity had been recognized by others. Fortunately, he had no intention of concealing his identity, so he announced his name. Heavenly Sword Marquis? Hearing this name, the 4 principals masters of the Azure Demon Divine Hall, including Azure Demon, were shocked. Could not be helped. Heavenly Sword Marquis name was too big in the Divine Beginning realm. He is Heavenly Sword Marquis, the most terrifying immortal saint in the history of the Divine Beginning realm. A brown-haired elder looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. "He is blocking our way and wants us to leave. Could it be that the people around us, including Yu Palace and Yu Hua sect, are unable to enter the cave mansion because they are blocked by him?" Another blood-haired youth frowned and said, "They thought that the experts from Yu Palace and Yu Hua sect did not enter the cave mansion because the treasure had not been born yet." However, Jian Wushuang's appearance changed their minds. "Heavenly Sword Marquis, what are you doing here?" Azure Demon stared at Jian Wushuang. A man's name was like the shadow of a tree. Jian Wushuang was so famous in the Divine Beginning realm that even though Azure Demon had reached the level of the 5th Void realm, he did not dare to underestimate him. "It seems that the 4 of you are here for the supreme treasure in the cave mansion. But I have to tell you that there is no supreme treasure in the cave mansion. It is just a good friend of mine who is in seclusion there. He is also the one who caused the disturbance in the surroundings." Therefore, the four of you should go back, Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Your good friend is in seclusion? Azure Demon sneered in his heart. Then he said, it seems that the reason why the people of Yu Palace and Yu Hua sect haven't been able to enter the cave mansion is because of you. Although I don't know why you are able to keep them out, I have to tell you that the Azure Demon Divine Hall is different from Yu Palace and Yu Hua. You'd better make way now. Otherwise, I don't mind teaching you a lesson on behalf of the people of the Temporal Temple. Teach me a lesson? Jian Wushuang's face darkened. Azure Demon, I'm afraid you're not qualified to teach me a lesson. How dare you? Azure Demon's voice turned cold, and his body suddenly moved. The moment Jian Wushuang saw Azure Demon move, he also attacked. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Jian Wushuang activated his life divine power. In an instant, he exerted his power to the maximum. The Blood Mountain sword in his hand turned into blood-red lightning and suddenly slashed out. It was the peerless sword technique Xianxia. The space was instantly cut open. This huge sword shadow could tear everything apart. Many experts standing in the nearby void, especially the principals masters of Yu Palace and Yu Hua sect, could not help but be frightened when they saw this sword move. Previously, Jian Wushuang had used this sword move to block all of them. Whether it was Sect Master Yu Hua or Palace Master Yu, who had already reached the fourth realm of the void, they could only be crushed by that sword move. But now, Jian Wushuang was facing Azure Demon, who was already at the fifth realm of the void realm. Humph! Azure Demon snorted, and his power suddenly increased. Rumble! Endless cyan air waves swept out like a vast cyan ocean. In this cyan ocean, Azure Demon waved his hand, and a cyan stone staff suddenly expanded and stabbed toward the blood-red sword light. Boom! The two collided, and a terrifying power instantly erupted. The void was like a piece of paper exploding under the two powers. Huge space cracks filled the sky. At the center of the two shocking powers, the blood-red sword light could not withstand the opponent's terrifying power and collapsed. Jian Wushuang immediately retreated and finally regained his balance. This scene made the onlookers' pupils shrink, but they were not too surprised. As expected, Azure Demon is stronger. It's normal. After all, Azure Demon is an expert of the fifth void realm, and Heavenly Sword Marquis, although he is extremely powerful, his battle strength is probably at the peak of the fourth void realm. An immortal saint has the battle strength of the peak of the fourth void realm. This is already incredible. If he is any stronger, it would be unjustifiable. Many experts began to discuss among themselves. Heavenly Sword Marquis, no wonder you were able to stop the people of Yu Palace and Yu Hua sect by yourself. You were able to fight me head-on. You are indeed very strong. Moreover, you are just an immortal saint. Unfortunately, your strength is not as good as mine. If I want to enter the cave mansion, you can't stop me. Azure Demon's eyes were cold. He stared at Jian Wushuang. Ha, Azure Demon, it's too early for you to be happy. Jian Wushuang laughed and said, that was only the first time we fought. I was just testing your strength. Now, let's fight again. Hearing this, Azure Demon narrowed his eyes and said, you're boasting. Whoosh! Azure Demon moved and attacked again. Similarly, the green air currents that filled the sky formed an enormous green ocean, and Azure Demon was the absolute ruler of this green ocean. He held the staff in one hand, and the green stone staff in his hand magnified endlessly, then stirred the entire ocean. He suddenly smashed out. It must be known that, in the first collision just now, Azure Demon had only used the long staff to stab out. But now he had used the long stick to smash him. The power of the long stick must have been stronger. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang was not afraid at all. A faint smile even appeared on his face. Just as the long stick was about to hit him, Jian Wushuang's body shook, and he suddenly used the heaven-cleaving skill. Once the heaven-cleaving skill was used, Jian Wushuang's power instantly soared to a whole new level. Peerless Sword Manual, Xianxia, the same sword move, the same blood-red sword light smashed down like lightning, no different from the sword move that had collided with Azure Demon just now. However, the power of the same sword move was completely different at this moment. In the blink of an eye, The blood-red sword light collided with the enlarged cyan stone stick again. Boom! The commotion caused by this clash was much greater than the previous one. When the surrounding spectators saw the two terrifying auras coming into direct contact, they even felt that the world around them was trembling crazily. That shocking aura caused everyone around to tremble in fear. However, this time, the head-on clash did not end in a stalemate like the previous one. Instead, the victor was determined in just an instant. The green ocean that covered Azure Demon's body was swept away by the power of the sword light in an instant. The entire green ocean disappeared, and the green stone staff in Azure Demon's hand was also slightly changed by the power of the sword light. The terrifying power caused Azure Demon to stagger and almost fall. How is this possible? Azure Demon's eyes were wide open in disbelief. He really could not believe that Jian Wushuang was suppressed by him in the collision just now. However, the power of his stone stick was even stronger now. In the end, he was completely crushed by Jian Wushuang's sword. However, before Azure Demon could be shocked, his heart was shocked because Jian Wushuang had already attacked again after repelling him with his sword. Swish! Jian Wushuang moved like a ghost and appeared beside Azure Demon at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, he slashed out with his Blood Mountain sword. Wushuang Sword Manual, Star Dream. Among the 7 sword moves of the Wushuang Sword Manual, the sword move that focused on cutting and tearing was the most important. Jian Wushuang also used the Heaven-Cleaving skill while using his full strength. The Heaven-Cleaving skill made the sword move extremely terrifying. Not good. Seeing the Star Dream first style attacking him, even Azure Demon's face changed. At such a close distance, Azure Demon could clearly sense how terrifying this sword was. If he could block it, it would be fine. But if he could not, the terrifying cutting power of this sword style could cut through his divine body. It could probably cut through his protective armor and cut through his divine body. Get lost! Azure Demon suddenly shouted. The cyan stone stick in his hand blocked in front of him at the fastest speed, and the terrifying sword light also cut into his stone stick. However, Azure Demon's power was not as strong as Jian Wushuang's. Moreover, this was a hasty defense. The terrifying power contained in the sword light immediately knocked the cyan stone stick aside, and it still had a lot of power left to cut into Azure Demon's divine body. The sword light cut through Azure Demon's protective armor, and sparks flew in all directions. Azure Demon felt a burning pain, but when he looked over, he took a deep breath. A deep white mark appeared on his protective armor, and a sword mark appeared on his divine body. Obviously, although Jian Wushuang's sword attack did not directly tear his protective armor, it had reached the limit of his protective armor. Moreover, the tearing power contained in the sword, it still penetrated his protective armor and injured his divine body. Whoosh! Azure Demon suddenly retreated and immediately pulled away from Jian Wushuang. After he regained his balance, Azure Demon could not help but feel a chill in his heart. The tearing power contained in Jian Wushuang's sword was too terrifying. As an expert of the 5th Void Realm and protected by the Supreme Treasure Armor, he almost could not withstand it. Fortunately, I used the stone stick to block most of the power of this sword. Otherwise, this sword might still be able to break my divine body through my Supreme Treasure level armor. Azure Demon thought to himself. At the same time, he looked at the long sword in Jian Wushuang's hand. That sword is so sharp. This was Azure Demon's understanding of the Blood Mountain sword. He knew very well that although Jian Wushuang's sword was powerful and the tearing force was strong, without the help of a divine sword that was good at cutting, it could not penetrate his Supreme Treasure armor and damage his divine body. In fact, Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain sword was his original divine weapon. It had been growing under his nourishment and increasing its power. Jian Wushuang even used his own blood essence to nurture the Blood Mountain sword. When Jian Wushuang came out of the Blood Wave realm and had the battle strength of a Principal's Master, the Blood Mountain sword had already transformed into a supreme treasure. Over the years, as Jian Wushuang's strength continued to increase, the level of the Blood Mountain sword had also increased. It should have reached the level of an advanced supreme treasure by now. It was an advanced supreme treasure, and the most terrifying thing about the Blood Mountain sword was its sharpness. Such a sword treasure coupled with the Star Dream first move, instantly exploded with a tearing force. Of course, it was terrifyingly powerful. Azure Demon, how about it? Do you want to fight again? Jian Wushuang stood in front of Azure Demon and looked at him with a sneer. Azure Demon's face had become extremely unsightly. He had already seen that Jian Wushuang was indeed stronger than him in the fight just now. Especially that extremely sharp sword strike, it made him feel a lingering fear. If he was alone, he really did not want to fight with Jian Wushuang anymore. Heavenly Sword Marquis, even if you are very strong, I'm afraid it won't be so easy for you to occupy the supreme treasure in your cave mansion by yourself, Azure Demon said. I've already told you that there are no treasures in the cave mansion. You just don't want to believe it, Jian Wushuang said with a bitter smile. How about this? You can wait here quietly like the others. It won't take long. In 1 or 2 months at most, my good friend will come out of the cave mansion. Then you'll know whether this is true or not. Of course, before that, I can promise that I won't step into the cave mansion. How about it? Humph! Azure Demon snorted and did not answer. However, he turned around and walked toward the experts of Yu Palace and Yu Hua sect. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang's expression changed slightly. I'm afraid Azure Demon doesn't believe me. Indeed, Azure Demon did not believe Jian Wushuang's words. He was afraid of Jian Wushuang's strength, so he gave in temporarily. However, he and the others from the Azure Demon Divine Hall had already arrived in front of the principals masters of Yu Palace and Yu Hua sect. Yuda, Sect Master Yu Hua, what do you think? Azure Demon asked in a low voice. What else can we do? Even you can't pass the trial of Heavenly Sword Marquis. What can we do? Sect Master Yu Hua said directly. In fact, they were the most shocked when they saw Jian Wushuang forcing Azure Demon back and damaging his divine body. They could not imagine that Jian Wushuang, a mere immortal saint, could be so powerful. Heavenly Sword Marquis is indeed very strong. I think his battle strength is close to the peak of the Void Fifth Realm, and I'm no match for him in a one-on-one fight. However, he is only one person, and we can't do anything to him in a one-on-one fight. However, if we attack him together, Heavenly Sword Marquis can't stop all of us alone. At that time, we can ignore him and fight for the supreme treasure in the cave mansion, Azure Demon said. That's true, but the problem is that the true treasure in the cave mansion hasn't been fully born yet. It's not wise to fight for it now. However, if we wait until the true treasure is fully born before we fight for it, Heavenly Sword Marquis will be the closest to the cave mansion, and his specialty is speed. When the true treasure is fully born, he will enter the cave mansion immediately and get the true treasure. At that time, we can only watch helplessly. After all, even 3 great Saint Realm Masters can't kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. If we want to kill him and then snatch the true treasure from his hands, it's just a pipe dream, Palace Master Yuda said. In that case, we can only wait for that ultimate treasure to be born before we make our move. We will wait for the unusual sound that is emitted from within the cave mansion to begin to weaken before we charge forward together. Azure Demon said. When an ordinary ultimate treasure was born, the unusual phenomenon that was emitted would begin to weaken. At this moment, it was most suitable for them to make their move. In that case, let's do it this way. However, that Heavenly Sword Marquis is so powerful that it is a problem for all of us. Among all of us present, only you, Azure Demon, are able to fight him. Therefore, I am afraid that you will have to deal with him when the time comes. Sect Master Yu Hua suddenly said. Humph, the fight for the supreme treasure relies on luck. At that time, we will just have to fight evenly. Azure Demon coldly snorted. Time continued to pass, and the surrounding experts were waiting patiently. They were all waiting for an opportunity. Jian Wushuang naturally knew this, but he could do nothing about it. After another half a day, the huge heaven and earth phenomenon that erupted from the cave mansion finally began to weaken. This weakening was immediately sensed by the many great beings who were patiently waiting in the void space. The heaven and earth phenomenon is beginning to weaken. That true treasure is finally about to be born. After waiting for so long, it's finally here. The gazes of the great beings in the surroundings became fiery. And then, Attack! Attack together! Quick! Seize the supreme treasure! The experts who were waiting here all attacked at the same time. There were dozens of experts, including more than 10 principles masters and many powerful immortal saints. They all attacked at the same time and rushed toward the cave mansion. Jian Wushuang's expression changed at this scene. Damn it! Everyone is rushing toward me like crazy. Although I'm strong, I can't stop everyone at once. Jian Wushuang frowned. In the next moment he made up his mind. I have no choice but to stop as many people as possible. In the void, Jian Wushuang made his move. One finger painting the sky, space-time prison, buzz. With a simple stroke of his finger, the power of space-time principles gathered in his body suddenly surged up and swept out in all directions like a sea wave. In just a moment, it covered the entire mountain range. The space-time restriction had already taken shape. Then, draw the Earth as a prison, space-time restriction. Buzz, buzz. The vast power of the space-time principles that covered the surrounding heaven and earth instantly swept toward the many experts rushing forward. Space-time restriction, this move, with Jian Wushuang's current strength, could even have a great binding effect on experts at the peak of the fifth void realm. The strongest among them, Qingmo, was only at the threshold of the fifth realm of the void. The others were even weaker. Under the space-time binding, their speed was greatly reduced, their bodies were also greatly restricted. Jian Wushuang's speed completely burst out. Whoosh! 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 Jian Wushuang's figure was like a ghost, appearing in front of the experts one after another. The Blood Mountain sword in his hand also swept out. Whoosh! 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 The cold sword light attacked, forcing the experts to stop in order to block Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship. In that instant, Jian Wushuang actually blocked more than half of the people who rushed over. Among them, the strength of Qingmo and Palace Master Yu were also blocked by Jian Wushuang. However, there were also some people who went around them. There were only about a dozen of them, but Jian Wushuang could not stop them. There was nothing he could do. No matter how powerful he was only one person. He could not split his body, so it was already his limit to be able to stop so many people in an instant. Those who were lucky enough to not be stopped by Jian Wushuang rushed toward the cave mansion at the fastest speed. The most conspicuous one was Sect Master Yu Hua. Sect Master Yu Hua was indeed lucky. To be exact, he was smart enough. While everyone was rushing toward the cave mansion, Sect Master Yu Hua was indeed at the back. Moreover, he was rushing toward the cave mansion from the edge, deliberately keeping a distance from Qingmo and Palace Master Yu. Jian Wushuang stopped Qingmo and Palace Master Yu at once, but he could not divert his attention to stop Sect Master Yu Hua. After Qingmo and Palace Master Yu Hua was the strongest. Although there were more than a dozen people who could still make their way to the cave mansion, none of them were qualified to compete with Yu Hua for the supreme treasure in the cave mansion. Haha! This supreme treasure belongs to the Yu Hua sect. No one can compete with me anymore. The eyes of the sect master were filled with fanaticism. His face was also filled with ecstasy as he rushed toward the cave abode at his fastest speed. As for the people around him, they had already been left behind by him. Now no one could stop him. He was getting closer and closer to the cave abode. Finally, he arrived at the entrance of the cave abode. At this moment, the heaven and earth phenomenon transmitted from the cave abode had completely disappeared. If the phenomenon had completely disappeared, then under normal circumstances, it meant that the true treasure had completely emerged. The timing is just right. Sect Master Yu Hua was ecstatic, and he prepared to rush into the cave abode. But at that moment, Sect Master Yu Hua suddenly noticed that in the cave abode, in front of him, a figure had appeared out of nowhere. This is... Before Sect Master Yu Hua could react, the figure in front of him had already attacked. In the void outside the cave mansion, Jian Wushuang was still trying to block the other experts, while those experts who were looking for an opportunity to bypass Jian Wushuang were still rushing toward the cave mansion at their fastest speed. But at this moment, boom! Heaven and earth shook violently, and a shocking power suddenly erupted. The moment this power was created, everyone in the void could not help but stop what they were doing. Everyone looked at the cave mansion in astonishment. They immediately saw a huge gray hand grabbing the divine body of Sect Master Yuhua like it was grabbing a chicken. The leader of the Yuhua sect was a peak 3rd level Void Realm Principles Master. In terms of strength, he could be ranked in the top 3 in the entire Dragonfire domain. However, such an expert was grabbed by the huge gray hand. No matter how hard he tried, he could not break free. Then, the huge gray hand flipped and placed the leader of the Yuhua sect in its palm. Then it clenched. No! The leader of the Yuhua sect let out a hysterical roar. However, his body was already completely submerged by the huge gray hand. Furthermore, the terrifying power contained within the huge gray hand had almost instantly shattered the leader of Yuhua sect's divine body. Furthermore, the divine power within his entire body was annihilated inch by inch until there was not a single bit left. In just a short moment, the leader of the Yuhua sect had already died. This is... Sect Master Yuhua is dead? A peak 3rd stage Void Realm expert just casually clenched his hand and died so easily? The many experts in the Void, including the Azure Demon Divine Hall and the Great Upalis's Principles Masters, were all looking at this scene in horror. Their bodies were all trembling as if they could not accept the scene before them. Sect Master Yuhua, a rule master at the peak of the Void Realm, was killed like a chicken. This scene really shocked everyone present. Even the powerful Qing Mo and Palace Master Yu were shocked. Only Jian Wushuang. He casually smiled and said, "I told you that there was no treasure in the cave mansion. It was just a good friend of mine who was in seclusion. You refused to listen. Now my good friend is angry." Jian Wushuang's words stunned everyone. Then they continued to look at the cave mansion. As expected, an old figure slowly appeared at the entrance of the cave mansion. When the old figure appeared, boom! A terrifying aura that could suffocate all the experts present suddenly spread out. The aura was vast and mighty, crushing everyone present. At this moment, everyone's facial expression changed greatly. This aura, the 6th level of the Void. It's a super expert of the 6th level of the Void. Moreover, such a dense aura has probably already reached the peak of the 6th level of the Void. Heavens! There's actually an old monster that has reached the peak of the 6th level of the Void hidden in this cave dwelling. The experts present were all shocked. After the Demon Master of the Demon Master Qinhua, who was at the entrance of the cave dwelling, released his aura to suppress everyone present, he coldly said, "This old man is in closed-door cultivation. If you don't want to die, scram." His voice contained a shocking killing intent, causing everyone who heard it to tremble in fear. "Go, quickly leave. Quickly leave. Run." Without any hesitation, the many experts present immediately scattered and fled in all directions. Even the Principles Masters of the Azure Demon Divine Hall and Great Upalis, including Azure Demon, did not hesitate to flee. The 6th level of the Void, and it's an old monster at the peak of the 6th level of the Void. Such a super expert is not someone we can afford to provoke. Azure Demon muttered in his heart. He knew very well that not to mention that there was no so-called top-tier supreme treasure in the cave abode. Even if there was one, he would not be qualified to fight for it if there was a powerhouse at the peak of the 6th level of the Void there. The 6th level of the Void was much stronger than the 5th level of the Void. Didn't they see that Sect Master Yuhua was killed like a chicken? Although there were many of them present and most of them were quite strong, if they really made that powerhouse at the peak of the 6th level of the Void unhappy and started to kill, it would definitely be a massacre. No one could stop them. In just a moment, all the experts who had been crazy about the supreme treasure in the cave mansion had fled, leaving no one behind. Even though their sect master, Yuhua, had been killed, the remaining 2 Principles Masters did not have any intention of taking revenge. They also fled far away. The Void finally calmed down again. As expected, Qinhua's attack is much more direct than mine. Jian Wushuang smiled. Although his battle strength was comparable to the 5th realm of the Void, in terms of deterrence, he was far inferior to Qinhua, who was at the peak of the 6th realm of the Void. Jian Wushuang put away the Blood Mountain sword and went directly to the sky above the cave mansion. "Qinhua, what happened here didn't affect the little guy's ability to change his fate, right?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Fortunately, It was the most important period and no one broke in. Otherwise, all the previous efforts would have been wasted, Demon Master Xianxia said. The period when the cave mansion emitted a huge heaven and earth phenomenon was indeed the most important period for Demon Master Xianxia to reconstruct the veins of the little guy. During this period, no one should disturb him. Fortunately, during this period, the experts who rushed over were all blocked by Jian Wushuang alone. Until the process was over and the heaven and earth phenomenon disappeared, the experts would then rush in again. It was convenient for Demon Master Xianxia to make a move. How is it now? Jian Wushuang asked again. The little guy's meridians have been reconstructed. Now he just needs some natural treasures to nourish and stabilize them. It will take some time, but there is still no risk, and he won't make such a big noise like before, said Demon Master Xianxia. That's good. I'll continue to stand guard outside. You can take your time, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Okay. Demon Master Xianxia nodded and returned to the cave mansion. Jian Wushuang continued to stand guard outside the cave mansion for the rest of the time. Because of Demon Master Xianhua's intimidation, the experts who had been scared away did not dare to come again. Everything went according to plan. After 2 months, Demon Master Xianxia walked out of the cave mansion with Zhao Mang looking at the two people who walked out. Especially the smile on Zhao Mang's face, Jian Wushuang knew that he had completed his heaven-defying change of fate. His meridians had been reconstructed so he could cultivate like a normal person in the future. Moreover, his innate advantage and cultivation talent would be much better than ordinary cultivators. After all, Demon Master Xianxia was a living example. Xianxia, congratulations on taking in a good disciple. Zhao Mang also congratulates you. You can finally become a cultivator, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. I will never forget the kindness of all the powerful masters who gave me a new life. Zhao Mang directly knelt down and respectfully kowtowed 3 times to Demon Master Xianxia. Get up. Demon Master Xianxia waved his hand, and Zhao Mang could not help standing up. Heavenly Sword Marquis, thank you for guarding outside during this period of time. Demon Master Xianxia also thanked Jian Wushuang. It's just a small matter. There's no need to be so polite. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Well, the heaven-defying fate-changing for this little guy has been completed. Now, it's time for us to set off for the demon region, Jian Wushuang said. Well, if possible, we don't have to go there as quickly as possible. We can walk there slowly. I'm thinking of teaching this little guy on the way and giving him some experience, Demon Master Xianxia said. Sure. I'm not in a hurry. Jian Wushuang smiled. He had 2 things to do in the demon region. The first was to meet his family in this life and find out the true identity of Miss Shower. The other reason was to find a way to kill the current Grandmaster of the Blood Clan. However, there was no need to be too anxious about these 2 things. Besides, Jian Wushuang had just exchanged many treasures from the treasure pavilion of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance to comprehend the destruction rules. He also wanted to study the destruction rules on the way. Therefore, he did not mind traveling slowly. After making a decision, the 3 of them set off immediately. The 3rd heaven was extremely vast. The journey from the Dragonfire domain to the demon field was extremely long. Without using teleportation and some space passages, it would naturally take time for the 3 of them to reach the demon field. On the way, Jian Wushuang tried his best to comprehend the destruction principles. As for Demon Master Xianxia, he focused all his energy on teaching Zhao Mang. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Zhao Mang was sitting cross-legged on an empty land. His body was filled with vast divine power. Suddenly, the void shook slightly, and Zhao Mang withdrew all his divine power. A brand new divine power aura spread out from his body. It's done! Zhao Mang cried out in surprise. Jian Wushuang, who was in the void beside him, also saw this scene and could not help exclaiming in admiration. This little guy's cultivation speed is really fast after defying the heavens and changing his fate. In just 10 years, he has already advanced from an ordinary person who doesn't even have a trace of divine power to the immortal saint realm. There were many levels between ordinary cultivators and immortal saints. To become an immortal saint in just 10 years, this speed was indeed terrifying, of course. The reason for this was not only because of Zhao Mang's talent, but also because he had used a large number of natural treasures when defying the heavens and changing his fate. These natural treasures were all absorbed by Zhao Meng, causing his body to have an incomparably large amount of energy. In addition to the careful teaching of Demon Master Qinhua, the speed of his progress was amazing because of the cultivation of various resources. Although this little guy's progress is admirable, I've made a lot of progress in the past 10 years. Jian Wushuang smiled. In the past 10 years, he had spent all his energy on comprehending the destruction principles. His affinity for the destruction principles was no less than the spacetime principles. With the help of many treasures, his progress was also remarkable. In a short period of time, he had completely comprehended the first 2 volumes of the 9 volumes of Vast Heaven. The first 6 volumes of the 9 volumes of Vast Heaven contained everything from the rudiments to the complete mastery of the destruction principles. The remaining 3 volumes contained the application of the destruction principles. Comprehending the second volume was not only the rudiments but also some attainments. The further I go, the more difficult it becomes to comprehend the 9 volumes of Vast Heaven. Although I only used 10 years to comprehend the first 2 volumes, I don't know how long it will take for me to comprehend the first 6 volumes. Jian Wushuang muttered. At this moment, Demon Master Qinhua and Zhao Meng walked over. Young man, congratulations on finally becoming an immortal saint. With your speed of improvement, I'm afraid it won't be long before you catch up with me, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. It's all thanks to Master's guidance that I've made such great progress. Besides, although I've made great progress, I'm still far from being comparable to you, Heavenly Sword Marquis. If I can reach your level in this life, I'll be content, Zhao Meng said. His words were also filled with reverence. He had traveled with Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua for 10 years, so he had a certain understanding of his master and Jian Wushuang. He knew that his master was a super expert and stood at the top of the entire divine beginning realm. As for Jian Wushuang, he already knew Jian Wushuang's origin. He was the #1 genius in the history of the divine beginning realm, but he was an immortal saint who could suppress many principles masters. Even his master, Demon Master Qinhua, was just a guard by Jian Wushuang's side. Such a figure, Zhao Meng could only respect him. It's good that you know yourself. You've just broken through to become an immortal saint, but you're only a rank 1 true saint. In the divine beginning realm, you're still an ant-like existence. You still have a long way to go, Demon Master Qinhua said. I'll follow your instructions, Master, Zhao Meng said. Well, don't hurt this little guy anymore, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. According to the star map, the monster territory is not far ahead. There are all kinds of special races in the monster territory. They fight each other and are far more powerful and fierce than human cultivators. It's said that there are territorial disputes everywhere in the monster territory. Many races fight and kill each other all year round, and there are many experts in the monster territory. Therefore, we should try not to cause any trouble when we get there, Jian Wushuang said. The demon region is so big. Where can you find your family? Demon Master Qinhua looked at him. After traveling together, Demon Master Qinhua also knew the purpose of Jian Wushuang's visit to the demon region. 101, although I don't have a specific address, I can roughly guess their location, Jian Wushuang said. Oh, Demon Master Qinhua looked puzzled. Jian Wushuang took out a star map at a leisurely pace. Look, this star map shows the locations of the territories of the many races in the demon region. They are very scattered. In addition to these races, there are 8 large cities in the demon region. These 8 cities are very special. Almost 99% of the places in the demon region are filled with fighting and killing. However, fighting is forbidden in these 8 cities because these 8 cities are places where the races trade with each other. There are not only experts from different races, but also human cultivators and some chambers of commerce for human cultivators. To put it simply, these 8 cities are the transit points for the trade between different races. Any race must put down their hatred for each other when they enter. In addition, there are a large number of city guards in each of these 8 cities to maintain order in the cities. No matter who it is, they are forbidden to attack in the cities. Because of this, compared to other places in the demon region, these 8 cities are definitely the safest. My family members were very weak when they were brought to the demon region. They were not suitable to live in other places in the demon region. The only place where they could survive was in the 8 cities. After all, as long as they were in the cities, even an ordinary person would be safe. Miss Shower has an unclear relationship with the Nine-Tailed clan. She is probably not too far away from the Nine-Tailed clan. Naturally, she will place my family members in the cities closer to the Nine-Tailed clan. Among the 8 cities, Piahuo City is the closest to the Nine-Tailed clan. The other 7 cities are far away. Therefore, it is not surprising that my family members are in Piahuo City. Jian Wushuang had studied the star map of the demon territory. Without being noticed by Miss Shower, he could roughly guess the locations of his relatives in this life. In his opinion, his relatives in this life most likely, Miss Shower would be placed in the Piahuo City.